I don't know which one of you copper quality headed hoes told me I should play this game to perfection, but just know, I hope your pillow is extra warm tonight and that you step on a Lego brick twice. You know what? Stop. I'm sorry I threatened you and called you a hoe. But you might be asking, Zoe, why are you so upset? Well, let me tell you something. Imagine, if you will, a small YouTuber who plays hours and hours of a game because for some reason she thought doing everything perfectly was a great idea. A modded perfection at that. Why? Because apparently I hate myself. So anyway, I have hours of footage to go through, watching every second, hunting for the... I know a busted not just passed by as I'm doing my little narrations. Anyway, what did I say? So anyway, I say all this to say, if you haven't seen the previous 100 days, first of all, what are you doing? You're missing vital context that you need to really tap it. You know what? It's fine. Now, let's take the next hour or so I can yet again painfully relive my next 100 days in Stardew Valley. All right, people, we're back at it. Year 1, sorry, that's a lie. Year 2, Stardew Valley Expanded, springtime. Now, I have some notes, but I don't have a formal, narration script for me to do this. So if I sound crazy, just know I did it with love, okay? Starting off, we hear an explosion by the train station. We'll get into that in 1 second. But I immediately tap into yard work. I have a cutscene with Kent, and he's just introducing himself, saying, hi, where have you been? Your family misses you. Anyways, after talking to Kent and doing some farm chores, I went over to see what the explosion was, and it looks like the boulder blocking the summit is finally open. Now, usually in a regular Stardew series, this would be blocked until you reach perfection, but Stardew Valley Expanded actually unlocks it after you complete maybe just year 2. I don't know. Editing Zoe, do some research. Me and Editing Zoe are going to do a lot of talking in this video. But after visiting the summit, I went down to have a cutscene with Marlin. There's a bear over there, and he's basically showing me to the sewer so I can meet Krobus. Typically, this would be brought about by the library dude after you complete the library, the museum. Zoe, oh my goodness, the museum. And we do a little bit of fishing, but most importantly, with meeting Krobus, we buy a star drop. Very important. We need that bad. After talking with Krobus, I have another cutscene, but with Mayor Lewis, and he's basically showing me this community garden farm that I can use. Spoiler alert, I never want to use it because who has the time to be going all the way east, right? Never eat. So yeah, who has the time to go all the way east to farm? No, that's too much walking. We don't got time for that. Another thing I did in the sewers was change my farming profession by talking to the Statue of Uncertainty. Let's just say I dropped a bag, and let's just say I had to change my profession for money earning purposes. You might recall in the last video that I chose poorly when I chose my initial farming profession. So by the end of the night, I got a new little cutscene to choose which farming level I wanted to be, and we chose the tiller path, then the artisan path, because we're going to focus on those artisan goods so we can make more money. But before I headed off to sleep for the night, I did tend to my farming garden, whatever you want to call it, my farm. But I hoed some of the grass, planted some fertilizer, and finally planted the seeds that I bought from Pierre prior during the day. The next day, I immediately got to work because I needed a bunch of eggs for this quest I was doing for Gus. He needed 24 eggs. I mean, it's not that crazy because he owns a restaurant, but he didn't want to buy them for me. I had to donate them. Where's my money?
Give me my money!
Anyway, so once I gathered all the eggs, I did head over into town to go see Gus to put it in his fridge. He wasn't even there to greet me. I just had to deliver myself into his fridge. Gus, can we have a little bit more decorum? Thank you. Did I not complete it? Wait a minute. I guess I didn't complete it. Anyway, then I went over to Shearwater Bridge, and Victor, the rich kid, was standing there, and he said something very pretentious, very privileged, talking about he needs a butler. Sir, you're doing nothing. You do nothing all day. Anyway, I'm trying to catch what's called a puppy fish, which is part of Stardew Valley Expanded, and in order to get perfection, as you all should know, I need to catch every single fish. Wasn't having much luck at first, probably because Victor was standing there, but after a while, I finally got a reel onto the puppy fish, and you can usually tell when it's a harder cast. They just don't want to cooperate with you. As you can see, I'm failing, but I do eventually get it together and actually catch the puppy fish. I went back into town to talk to Clint because I bought the copper upgrade for the trash can, so I went ahead and collected it. Ended up going back into the sewer to talk to Krobus again because I I wanted to see what all he was selling, and ended up buying a void egg because I want a black chicken. Who doesn't want a black chicken? Most importantly, I went back down there to fish so I can try to get the legendary fish, the mutant carp, and it was actually pretty easy to catch. Back home, I put my new chicken egg into my incubator so it could start hatching at some point. And then I explored a little bit on my farm and found the note that Grandpa left, basically explaining that he will see me again at the beginning of my 3rd year. The next day, I went over by the community center and decided to fish in the fountain because I think you could get something, but unfortunately, because I'm not the best Stardew Valley player, I didn't get it. I don't know what I was trying to get, or maybe I got it in the last video. Editing Zoe, can you tell me what I was trying to do? Because I do not recall. Anyway, so I gave up on that and then decided to go into the community center so I can donate some items. I completed the chef's bundle by adding a truffle, and then I added our mutant cart to the fish tank. Then I went over to Mayor Lewis's house to look at the community board, and I accepted a new quest, the homemade fertilizer quest. Then immediately after that, I started fishing in the river. And speaking of fishing, I went over to Cindersap Forest and was immediately introduced with a new cutscene with Willie. Basically, he's telling me about this new fish called the king salmon. Don't know what's so special about it because I immediately caught it after this cutscene. It was a little bit difficult, but hey, got it first try, so I'm not complaining. Then I decided I wasn't done fishing, so I wanted to go fish in the lake. And then this girl, Leah, was upset that I was in her way. Like, girl, you could have gone around. Let me fish. And she had the nerve to walk off with a sense of urgency. You're on the same side of the lake as me. What are you complaining about, really? It feels a little racial. But out of all of the fishing endeavors I did during this day, the most important was at the mountain lake because I was attempting to catch the legend, the hardest fish to catch, at least in the regular Stardew Valley gameplay. On my way home, I decided to stop by Susan because I already had a bunch of the fertilizer that she was looking for. So I just went up to her, dropped it off, and then made my way back home. The next few days consisted of me doing a bit of random things here and there. First off, I visited the raccoon to give him some, are those called mussels? Firstly, I visited the raccoon to give him some of the items he was looking for, then was immediately given another cutscene with the wizard this time in Cindersap Forest. And he was doing some magic, and basically he told me about keeping monsters away. And I guess he also maintains some magical barrier around Stardew Valley, so that's why there's never monsters just walking around. Rasmodius, I'm not worried. I got my sword on me. I'm straight, okay? After that, he disappeared on me, and then I disappeared on the forest and went straight over to Gus to drop off the remaining eggs that he needed to make his omelet. He gave me cash. Collected my prize tickets, then went up to Mayor Lewis's house to redeem them. I got a brand new bed and then a bunch of preserve jars. Continued my day by fishing in Cindersap Forest to get another legendary fish, although this legendary fish was one of the modded fish from SVE, and it was almost equally as difficult to catch as the legend that we caught a few days prior. The wolf. What does that say? Hold on, I can't see Zoe. What does that say? The wolf snapper? Let me pause. And then right after, I caught the butterfish, also from SVE. And later that day, right before I decided to go to bed, I decided to switch out my old bed for the new one that I just got. On day 6, I decided to watch the fortune teller channel, and for some reason they said the spirits were displeased with me today and that they were intentionally gonna make my life difficult. What the heck? What did I do to you? Anyway, I checked my mail and Gus decided to give me a whole brand new fridge. I don't even know what to do with that. I don't know where to put it. I don't need 2 fridges if I'm being honest, but thank you, Gus. Wish I could sell it, but you know, I'll just hold on to it for now. And then I realized for some of the things I wanted to get done, I would need some hardwood. So decided to plant a bunch of hardwood trees in the middle of my farm. Then I headed over to Clint so I can upgrade my axe to iridium, because might as well. We have the money and we have the resources to do so. Then I looked at what else he was selling and it was garbage, so then I left. Clint, sell cooler items, Clint. What are you doing? Am I recording? Okay. With all of the stuff that I did in the previous video and the stuff that I'm doing now, I keep forgetting that making friendships is vitally important, especially if I'm trying to get to perfection. I decided to go around town and hand out diamonds to people because I believe we're duplicating diamonds, or I just have so much from mining. Like, I have no reason to have all these diamonds. And most of the people in the town like diamonds except for 1 or 2 people. So who doesn't want a free diamond? It's really sad that I have to buy friendship in this world. The next morning, I had a cutscene with Alex's dog. I don't remember what his name is. I want to say Rusty. Dusty. Just give it 2 more seconds, Zoe, and you could have read it on the screen. Dusty. He seems like a Scooby-Doo German Shepherd type, very cute. Wish he could actually come out of his house and run around the town. That'd be so cute. After, I immediately bought a bunch of potato seeds from Pierre because I think they're like the most profitable, or maybe, you know, I don't take notes as I'm playing this game. But after planting all the potatoes, went over to the Mastery Cave to see what that was about because I hadn't really heard of it before. So I'm over here just reading about all the little things that I could potentially get once I hit my first mastery level. But ultimately, after reading through all 5 of them, I decided to go with the fishing mastery, giving me a new fishing rod, unlocking challenge bait, and then allowing me to find golden chests when I fish now. Back home on my farm, I went into my chicken coop to collect the eggs and found to my surprise that my new black chicken had hatched. I was gonna name it something random, but I decided why not give her a special name? So I decided to name her Shadow after Shadow from Sonic. Then I went over to my greenhouse to fix the trees because in between this video and the last video, SVE had updated and they must have changed the greenhouse because now my trees are all messed up. But basically, I'm gonna buy some new trees. As you see, I have a new orange tree that I'm planting, but don't worry, these trees will be fixed. But while we wait for the trees to be fixed, I decided to make some signs so I could keep them organized because obviously when they're saplings, I don't know which tree is which. And SVE actually adds a few more trees. Like I think there's one called Permission. It looks like it's spelled like permission, but it's not. But it's like a big old orange, but it's not. You know. I'll put a picture. You know. But after that, I went over to the community center to see what else I needed to put in there, and I actually threw in a pomegranate needed for the Enchanter's bundle. Received 2 gold for that. So we officially have 1 more bundle to complete before we complete the community center. After that, I decided to rummage through the back of the community center because I know there's a statue back here and it's part of like the secret notes thing, but SVE kind of like changes some of them, and with it, some of them are kind of messed up. So I'm just back here trying to find it myself without the secret note. It's a cute little Genimo statue that I don't remember where I placed. So I think I just placed it outside, right? Anyway, after that, immediately went to the mines to collect some bug meat. I believe we're collecting bug meat for a quest that Willie is asking for. He needs a bunch of bug meat to create bait for fishing. Understandable, Willie. I too use bug meat to create bait. I am a fisherwoman myself. Anyway, went back home and I received 500 gold because my farm is just that girl, even though she's looking a mess, honestly. But we don't need to dwell on that right now. We're getting her in order. We're making this bread. We're making this money. And I'm smelting 1 of each bar so I can actually sell 1 of each, because one of the things that we need to do for perfection is like sell every item, including minerals. But back here in the mines, I'm still collecting bug meat and I found this amazing new hat, this bone hair bow thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, ever since playing this world, I've been wearing this hair bone the entire time. You'll see. The bookseller was in town today, so I decided to see what books he was selling. I did have a lot already, but I decided to get the book that helped make my horse go by faster, because Stardew Valley characters, we just move so freaking slow. I cannot handle it. But after I got that, I went down to Gus. What is his name? Clint. I went down to Gus to open a mystery box, and it was just beans. Zoe, this is editing you. His name is Clint. Thank you. Stopped by Willie's to give him all the bug meat that he desperately needed. Then immediately after that, collected my prize ticket to then collect my prize, which was a pomegranate tree, which I don't think I needed, but you know what? I'll take it anyways. After that, I immediately went to Pierre to buy as many parsnips as I could. Dang, I'm buying a lot. How many is that? The screen is super small. I can't see. Is that 200? It looks like 700 on my screen, but that can't be right. Anyway, back home, tilling the soil, adding the fertilizer, planting the seed, you know, farm life stuff. Then back in the mines, collecting more resources, trying to do my monster eradication goals at the same time. Got a secret note talking about come meet me at the Joja Mart. I'm pretty sure this is for the dude in the truck. You basically give him a rabbit's foot and then he gives you something, or he tells you something. We'll find out in this video, don't you worry. But back home, some of my hardwood trees have grown, so I'm going to go ahead and chop those down because we desperately need the hardwood for, I think, some of our buildings, question mark. But then I immediately went back to Pierre to buy even more trees that I didn't have. I don't know where I'm getting all this money for these trees, but per Zoe, keep doing what you're doing. Then visited Gus and he had a whole like party going on. He used all them eggs that I gave him to make a gigantic omelet, and honestly, I feel like that's a little unsanitary. I feel like it's a little gross. It's like a egg pizza almost. Plus, what size pan do you even use to make said omelet? What's the logistics of this big omelet? I need answers, Gus. But anyway, they're saying the eggs are tea. Eggs are good. Thank Thank you, Robin, because, you know, it came from my good chickens, my hens, my girls, my team of girls. After visiting Gus, I needed a bunch of wood for something, so I decided to go in the forest, pick some up. You know what, Zoe? You're collecting all fir wood, because you know why? You needed fir resin, you needed fir syrup. I don't remember what it's called. Guys, again, these voiceovers, I don't have any notes. I'm watching in real time as you. It's been like 5 months since I played what you're seeing here, you know? Anyway, planting our trees that we got from, I want to say Pierre. That's that Parmesan tree, that permission. I still didn't read it this time. But that's that tree I was talking about. Anyway, we're getting our signs together. Again, we must be organized. We got pear, we got orange also, just a few trees because we're going to need them all. And I'm saving 2 spots up there for the banana tree and I believe the mango tree because those are part of Ginger Island and those are a little bit harder to get. So we're still waiting on those. But it is now the egg festival. Time to redeem myself for the past, what was it? 2-3 times that I messed this up? Guys, I try. I really do try. And you know what? We're gonna try today. Because you know why? I'm cheating today. I'm cheating. I looked up a path for greatness and I will not fail. Do you hear me? I will not fail because I'm a cheater. All right, Mary Lewis, let's get this started. Okay, we're trying to beat, who beat me last time? Abigail? We're gonna get 9 eggs this time, Abigail. And you're going to lose. He's telling the kids to calm down. You know who needs to calm down is me actually, because I'm a little bit too competitive for this. All right, we've started. I'm on the path. We go left, we immediately get this egg off to the right, and then we come down. Get this other egg that you can't see because I used a 32-inch monitor for some reason while playing this. That's why you can't ever see the days on the top right, but that'll be fixed. Anyway, back to the egg festival. I'm following the path correctly. It's a little hard because I have to look down at my phone while playing the game because, you know, I'm going against some pro NPCs apparently. This is where I slip up. I'm not gonna lie to you. I went way too far right and I got off the path and without even realizing it. But we're still doing good. We're still doing good. At this point, I think I had like 6 eggs. Okay, that's a lie. I think I had 9. And unfortunately, I lost again. Okay? Anyways, after the egg festival debacle, Robin showed up to my door the next morning to talk about the renovations to my shed. What is it called? Shed? A farm? Oh my gosh, what are we playing? Oh my goodness, Zoe, you're crazy. Mentally ill comes to mind. But you know, in person me is a lot smarter because I went over to the merchant and she had the final piece to the community center, red cabbage seeds. And I need those badly because that's the last item I need for the community center. And once we have the community center, we can finally go to Ginger Island. This is long overdue. Anyway, I went ahead and planted that and went down to the secret woods to try to attempt the maze thing that SVE adds to it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't have time for the bull. I don't have time to wait.
I don't BS. Let's focus on what we need to focus right now.
Did I cheat? Yes, I did. As you can see, I'm stopping and pausing because I'm looking at the little cheat sheet I'm looking at. Regardless, we got the star drop. Guys, don't get mad at me for cheating. You see how I'm doing this editing. I don't have the mental capacity for all this. Anyway, long story short, we got the star drop and my mind is filled with thoughts of money. Anyway, then I take a rabbit's foot over to the truck driver by Joja and he gives me like this pendant thing and now my luck is permanently increased for the remainder of the game. Afterwards, I head over to the bus stop because I need to go to Calico Desert and we're going over there because there's a brand new festival in town. Technically, it's not even in town, it's in Calico Desert, you idiot. But this is one of the 1.6 updates that, you know, by now it's been a year since 1.6 has been released. But, you know, editing takes a minute. I head over to the chef to concoct a very rare delicacy that everyone should be eager to try. Pungent garlic, that's what you want to end a meal on, you know. Calling it a warrior smoothie. Not sure what smoothies have garlic in it, but you all should drink it. I won't be drinking it, but you should try it for sure. And then we talked to Marlon because he has this whole mining quest. Basically, we can earn a bunch of calico eggs, which are like the currency for this festival. So I went ahead and did the reach level 30 of the Skull Cavern to get like 50-ish egg. But I head on down in there and we get to mining. Not super entertaining, like it's just basically the regular Skull Caverns just with a challenge to it. And honestly, again, not that hard. And I did get a few presents along the way. Here's a mystery box, 5 of them actually. Talked to Gil and apparently he has this egg rating thing going on. So then he gives me more eggs, I think. Free eggs. Hey, I like money. And then I went over to this shady dude in the corner to answer some of his questions. Again, guys, yes, I cheated. Okay? Some of them are a given. Like, I know who runs the museum. I know what season to grow a garlic. But do I know when to catch a carp? No, I don't. Okay, so Zoe had to use Google real quick. And do you think I know where a stonefish is at? No, somewhere in the caves, but I don't know what level. I ain't crazy. I don't know every fact about about this game, you nerds. Sorry. It's 11 o'clock at night when I'm, narrating this. I'm tired. Back to Stardew, Zoe. Back to Stardew. I talked to Sandy and Emily, and they're talking about like some dress up thing. I'm like, okay, I'll take some free clothes. So they got this big box. Like, who's walking into a cardboard box? But whatever. I go up in there. I had to remove some stuff from my inventory because I have way too much from the Skull Caverns. But I head on inside the box. Then Emily starts having like visions of the outfit she's about to put me in. I'm like, okay. And then both of them come in. I mean, Sandy not in, but she at the door and she could easily turn around. Like there's no door, just a hole in the wall. Anyway, and then Emily is like touching me. It's like, okay, Emily, like back up a little bit, give me some space. 6 feet. But then I walk out and look at the outfit they had me in. This does not give Zoe. Anyway, I go down to this cactus dude to get my free cactus because who doesn't want anything free? He gives me this cactus. Look at his face. He's perfect. See, why does the cactus guy know my vibe better than Emily? I don't know. Then another station at the Calico Desert Festival was Willie in this like fishing thing. Not super entertaining, not gonna lie, because it's just fishing, but basically there's a challenge where you can catch a harder fish here and there, yada yada yada. Moving on. But after a long day of activities, I talked to this like teleportation shadowed figure dude and he takes me home. Thank you, because I was not about to take the bus and walk. And finally, I ended the night by placing down my new furniture and my lovely new cactus that I got. What should we name him? I'm thinking Gerald. How do we like Gerald or no? Anyway, the next day I go back to Calico Desert because the festival is still occurring, but this girl Pam is not at the bus stop and she's making me drive. Not only am I driving, but I still have to pay for a ticket. Ridiculous. Anyway, basically do some of the same stuff as I did yesterday. Got a gross meal, went back in the cave, but most importantly, got a whole new outfit from Emily and Sandy because I'm not messing with this blue dress, okay? And she gave me something more along my speed. It's a toga and like the flowery like headpiece, although I'm not really feeling the headpiece. After that, I just go home because it's not really like as fun as night one. But before going to bed, what I decided to do was reimagine this toga piece that Emily had given me, and instead I put my hair bone back in, and now I'm like a cute little cave woman. It's giving. And as I went to bed that night, I actually got another achievement. Zoe, what was the achievement we got? You just skipped right over it. Oh my goodness, I don't even care to like figure it out. The next morning, I went over to my greenhouse to plant some ancient seeds to get that farm going because I do intend on turning them into wine. And then immediately after, I went over to Calico Desert to go back to the festival for the final day. Although the first thing I did was buy these golden carrot seeds from the little merchant dude who sells the trove. We're gonna see what those are about. Then immediately after, talking to people, yada yada yada, who cares, got me my next gourmet meal. And she was delish, if I have to say so myself. Was I just clicking random buttons? Don't worry about what I do and how I play this game, please and thank you. Did Zoe eat it though at the end of the day? She did. Went back into Skull Caverns to do more of the achievements, more of the games, more of the whatevers, collecting ores, working, doing my same old Stardew. Went back for my third round of Dress to Impress. If you haven't seen my video of my first time playing Roblox, played Dress to Impress for the first time, some girl copied me immediately. Immediately pissed, very pissed, but Emily, this outfit is not giving either. Who do you think I am? I don't give purple. Do better. Zoe, you have an attitude this video. Like straight up, like calm it down. Anyway, I am back home, just organizing a bunch of my chests because it does get pretty messy. I got a lot of seeds. I gotta organize the new clothes that I'm getting from Emily, but also trying to get some more things going, like some trees, some fir trees for the syrups that I need. After planning all those, the next day I went over to Clint to get my troves and my mystery boxes and some geodes that I had laying around broken. Got some cool things, some of which I was able to donate to the museum. Do we get a star drop? I think we get, what do we get for completing the museum? I think a star drop. Things are different in SVE. It's hard to like figure out what's for what because things get changed and move around. But anyway, I went upwards and had a cutscene with Sarah. That's not her name, Susan. She is telling me about fertilizer, showing me the cauliflower that she made with the fertilizer I had given her. And she's telling me she learned something new today. Patented fermentation method. She's making beer, mead, and pale ales. She has a liquor business. I'm not sure if that's legal, Susan, but as long as you're not selling, I guess it's fine. But you are. You better have your licenses together. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, went over to the spa to fish in the little like pool, the little water that's right there to get a necklace for Abigail that she had lost. She shouldn't be playing with her mother's jewelry. That's all I'm saying. Then I went over to accept a new quest for Evelyn, which is really for George because she wants to give him like 10 leeks. I'm not sure why why one old man needs 10 leeks to fix whatever's, ailing him. But if, Evelyn, if it works, it works. Maybe you're putting me onto something. But then I already had a quest for Evelyn to give her a leek again for George. So maybe George just likes leeks in general. I'm not sure. Maybe she makes a soup for him. Again, Evelyn put me on. What am I missing? Then I placed this trash catalog that I had found, and it's literally just a catalog of trash. But I need me a little lawn chair to sit in to observe the vast farmland that I have. I need it for dramatic effect when editing. You see me. Moving on. The next day, I went over to my brand new shed that Robin had fixed up for me. It looks amazing. It's basically top half shed, bottom half cellar that I can basically just use for, casks and whatnot. It's all going to be used for wine. We're trying to make money as quickly as possible, and that is the best way in Stardew Valley to make money. But this place is nice. This is basically like a second house. Like, one person don't need all this land, don't need this many buildings. This is crazy. But I immediately start by putting these sprinklers down because this is where I intend to have our star fruit. And if my math is correct, and editing Zoe, please help me out, this upper area should hold 144 seeds of star fruit. Is that correct? I don't know. Zoe, you tell me. So once finished placing my sprinklers, I went over to Calico Desert to actually buy the starfruit seeds and some rhubarb because I need it for selling one of each item. I haven't really talked about that, but I've been doing that sort of in the background, trying to collect every single seed because I need one of each to sell in order to complete the collections achievement, something like that. Then visited the casino because I don't think I really had been in here. Attempted to play a few rounds of blackjack, did not do great, but blackjack's my game. I know how to count cards. Am I lying? Why are you asking me these questions? Don't worry about if I'm lying. We'll be back though. We'll be back to the casino in episode 3. Then I went home and finally planted the star fruit seeds that I had just gotten from Sandy. I may have spent some time in the casino, not gonna lie, but we're now back working, okay? And we're getting this money instead of wasting it, okay? Okay. After doing farming chores the next morning, I went over to Robin's house so I can drop off some stone for a quest that she needed to be done, and I got a new achievement called a new friend, reaching a 5 heart friend level with someone. Thanks, Robin girl. I wouldn't consider us like besties or anything, but I appreciate it. Then I went over to the Adventures Guild to pick up my slime charmer ring that I had gotten from the slime eradication goals. But immediately after, I went fishing in the mountain lake, trying to catch a frog for the fishing mastery. But the following morning, Robin was actually back at my house to tell me that she's getting started on the bridge to make it easier to go over to my new shed. Then I got a quest in the mail from Pierre. I think he wants some sashimi, which I'm not sure why he doesn't tell it himself, or go to Willie to make it yourself. It's just you need a piece of fish, Pierre. Anyway, then I went over to Clint, broke some boxes, broke some geodes to see if we can get anything donated to the museum, and we didn't have anything to donate, unfortunately. But I did buy the next upgrade for my trash can. Then I went over to Evelyn and George's house to give Evelyn the leeks that she needed for George. I hope it satisfies him, Evelyn. Then immediately went over to the bookseller to trade some books. Grabbed my ticket from Evelyn and put it in Mary Lewis's prize machine to get the friendship book. This is exactly what I need. Then I went over to the mines to complete some eradication goals and finally completed the one for the rock crab, giving me the crab shell ring. Then back home, looked at my mail again the next morning, and Evelyn gave me a freaking coffee maker. That is expensive, Evelyn. Thank you. Thank you. And while collecting crops on my farm, I reached a new level of understanding, which means we need to go back to the mastery cave. But before we do so, I'm going to put these tappers on my fir trees so we can soon get fir syrup. But most importantly, on this Monday of the 22nd, I have completed the community center. And the reward is also friendship, something I need desperately. The important thing here, people, is I finally finished something that I should have finished in year 1. Yay! Take your time, people. Take your time. It's all about having fun. It's not about rushing the game. We're going to be adding some fish. We did add some fish. We added the mutant carp. Look at that. We're going to be adding more. We're going to be adding more friends for that carp. But with that done, the Junimos have now returned to the spirit world. But did they really? Because we're playing SVE. Things are going to happen, people. Things are going to happen. Finally, I went over to the mastery cave to get my next mastery skill. And this time I chose the foraging mastery, granting a mystic seed tree, a treasure totem, and unlocking golden mystery boxes, all of which are very necessary. I was contemplating where to place down my new coffee maker. For the moment, I have it placed just right outside my farm, but that's a little weird to me. So we're going to just put it in my house, put it in the kitchen, grab my cup of coffee every morning, Then immediately after, I went and read my mail, and Mayor Lewis is telling me about another festival, probably. I don't know. I didn't really read it. Oh, he's talking about the community center. The community center center. Yes, none of you guys put in any effort. It's like no different from my Animal Crossing island. Why do none of these villagers put in any effort towards community goals? I'm talking about the inclines, I'm talking about the bridges, and I'm talking about this community center. But you know, look how happy they are reaping my rewards. Anyway, Mayor Lewis is telling me all of his blessings that he's giving me, and he gave me this cool little trophy. Don't know where I'm gonna put it, but as we're talking, we were rudely interrupted by Morris. Like, Morris, this is on you. You should have progressed with sales. You should have progressed with marketing. This is on you. I'm sorry that I'm doing what I need to do. I'm sorry that I know how to work, Morris. I'm sorry that I know how to run a successful farm business and you don't know how to run a grocery store, Morris. Do better. That's the end of the sentence. That's the end of the story. Just do better. Pierre, honestly, you're no better. I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes you be pissing me off. Like, you remind me of Raymond too much. People, if you know, you know. I'm not getting into my Raymond beef right now. Anyway, the end of the cutscene, I thought, marked the end of this hostility between the supermarkets, but Andy was outside, like, causing a major commotion. Like, sir, Jojo wasn't all that. Like, chill. Like, he's out here hooting and hollering. Go back home and pop up 6-pack of beers. Don't do this in public, sir. Actually, go see the doctor and get a therapy checkup. But also, Pierre, he's not wrong. Lower your prices. You know what? I think it's the glasses that he's wearing that's triggering the Raymond hate in me. And you know what's crazy? I wear glasses. In my videos, I'm over here calling people nerds who wear glasses. Zoe, look in the mirror, babe. I be forgetting. All right, continue. Moving on. For the rest of the day, I'm just kind of going around town seeing if there's anything I can forage. And when I go to the beach, I have a new cutscene with Willie, and he has this giant, disgusting pile of bug meat with somehow bones in it. I don't know what bug I killed that had a bone in it, Willie, but like, this is absolutely disgusting. I don't need to see the visual of the juices jiggling. It's just gross. And then immediately after, I had another cutscene in the forest with the little girl. I think her name is Jazz. She was lost, but I had found her. I returned her to Marnie. We need to bring back the children leashes that they had in like the 2010s. I haven't seen any of those in a hot minute. Let's bring them back. Then my final cutscene of the day was with Andy. I decided to go check up on him after his crazy outburst. It looks like he's cleaned up his house, which is great. Great, Andy. Great job. We needed to become an adult, okay? We need to let go of the frustrations. We can't let it ruin our day. I decided to keep my conversation brief with Andy. I don't really know him like that. I'm not really trying to be his friend. After visiting Andy, I went home and checked my mail, and I got a bunch of recipes from everyone in the town because I had completed the community center. This is very important because one of the achievements for getting perfection is making all recipes. So therefore, we need to collect all the recipes. And yes, SVE does add many more. But later that day, I decided to go to the flower dance. No, I didn't have anybody to pair up with, but was I in somewhat better attire than I was last year? Yes. And technically, I'm wearing like a dress and a towel. It's a toga. It's white. I could have danced if I wanted to, is what I'm trying to say. In my opinion, this event is kind of meaningless. Like, you know, it's just a cutscene. Like, you don't get anything. A day has been wasted. But one thing of importance was that when I went to bed, I did get the cutscene to see Jojo Mart have a scroll, a bundle, you know, a thingy with a Junimo inside of it. Then I went over to Willie's to have another cutscene. This is what I've been waiting for. I wanted to complete the community center in year 1 so we could go to Ginger Island, but unfortunately we only just now achieved it during year 2. We need this cutscene so we can figure out how to fix the boat in order to get to Ginger Island. 200 pieces of hardwood, some batteries, and I think some iridium is what he's looking for. After visiting Willie, I had run up to Clint's place so I could pick up my trash can, but there was another cutscene. Something about talking about 30 pieces of gold. I don't know. Clint, why am I always doing tasks for you? You got pickaxes up there. You could go in the mines. I'm like also your wing woman. I give you resources. Like, I'm getting fed up. But then I ended the conversation by opening a bunch of geodes and mystery boxes. While I was in the area, I decided to go up north to actually visit the fallen Jojo Mart and see what the scroll was wanting. It did need quite a few things that I didn't have at the moment, but just know that I'm going to get the items, don't you worry. And then in preparation for Ginger Island, the 200 pieces, Zoe, what is these notes? Something about preparation for Ginger Island, 200 pieces. I decided to go to the ancient woods to actually collect some hardwood. Guys, I had to re-record this audio, and something about Robin. I gave Robin something, cutscenes. Yeah. I think she's talking about a drum block and a flute block, and then I was like, I actually played both of those in high school band, which I in fact did. And then I think I said, I don't play. And for context, I meant I don't play around. I play the instruments, obviously. Anyway, so I decided to shop while I was at Robin's, and I got a workbench, a calendar, but I'm really debating if I want to get this furniture catalog, but unfortunately I do not have the funds to buy it right now. The next day I went over to my greenhouse to add more sprinklers because I want to get this set up for ancient fruit seeds. This is going to be a big thing for my wine production, but I don't really have any ancient fruit seeds at the moment. And in my adventures of running around, I was able to secure all the items needed for Willie's boat, and there was this like weirdo crab just sitting there, and he took his sweet time to like escape from me. Okay. Then as I was riding around, I stumbled upon another cutscene as I was moving towards Cindersap Forest. So you know what I did? I investigated the situation, and it took me to, I guess, a mystical secret part of the forest, which I believe is the Junimo Forest. The cutscene wasn't really much, it was just my character looking around, but I sensed a magical presence deep in the forest. Anyway, I didn't really feel like going through a maze, so I decided to leave and go back to doing what I was doing, which back on my farm, I crafted 4 lampposts so I can actually see on my farm, give it a bit of like, you know, an organized aesthetic. And as I was there, Robin was working on a house upgrade that I had bought. Later that night, I moved around all my furnaces because I wanted to get a little bit more organized. I just felt like my machines were just placed all over my farm, and it was getting in the way of my horse when I was riding around. Plus, you know, more organization means a better layout. This definitely isn't going to be permanent because I really don't like the idea of like my machines all outside. I think what I'm going to do is get a shed and put it next to my house, and then make that shed my little, you know, my she shed. That's where Zoe's going to get some stuff done. But as I went to sleep that night, we finally got the cutscene to see Willie and Robin working on the boat. And then as I woke up the morning, I got another cutscene with the Aurora Vineyard in Cindersap Forest. Anyway, I opened mail. The boat was ready for me. Even though this came out in 1.5, I still had never been. So we're experiencing this, experience together. A fresh documentation. And oh my goodness, I had no idea that Stardew Valley, or I guess Pelican Town, I don't know, whatever, is this big. And look at all these other little islands. Like, there has to be some lore to these as well. Like, look, there's even an island with a dinosaur on it. You're telling me we don't get to go over there? That's insane. But here we are. We have arrived at Ginger Island, got a new achievement called A Distant Shore. You win the Steven Universe song. How many Steven Universe references have I made on this channel? Anyway, some big old turtles were blocking the way, so I could only go to the right. Anyway, so I'm just exploring around, looking at everything that's around, nothing really to interact with, but there's a bunch of parrots at the top, and there's this little boy and his bird. He refuses to talk to me unless I give his bird a golden coconut. I think it's a walnut. And I played this game for like, 40 hours, and I don't know what it's called. That's crazy. And then I left, and there's this flame dude like showing me around the island, and he's acting like I can just fly up and follow him directly. No sir, I have to go around. I looked inside the little tent that was here, no one was home, and then continued my way up towards the little flame dude. And then he directed me inside the volcano, but my idiot self does not have my watering can, so I cannot go over there to see him. And then I was like, maybe I can fish in this little pond. No, Zoe, it's just a bunch of trash. Anyways, because I couldn't really do anything, I left. And when I mean I left, like I actually left the whole island because I don't think I can continue without my watering can, so we'll have to come back. Anyway, went up to Flint, had him open some treasure troves for me, some geodes, some coconuts, got an ancient doll that will be useful for later, and then some stuff that I have already donated to the museum, so there's no point in going over there. But I did decide to go over to the Aurora Vineyard to see what was happening. You know, we got that cutscene, which brought me to another cutscene. Again, very Junimo related. You can hear the Junimo sounds plus the scrolls on the ground, so you know it is. The symbols vaguely look like the language of the other place. Yep, it cut off before I could continue reading, but you read it. Did you read it, or were you waiting for me to narrate that? Because I wasn't going to. But the wizard had stopped me in his tracks to talk to me about the Junimo activity that was happening. And apparently there was something in my pocket that I had no idea that was already there. It was a golden scroll. Anyways, he wants me to follow him so he can help decipher it, yada yada yada. It's gonna basically be the same thing as the community center. But the only difference is he decided to invite another one of his wizardry witch friends to the situation. I guess his magic isn't strong enough to figure out what we need to do. I don't know. Anyway, the witch's name is Camilla, however you want to pronounce it. I think they used to date. I think Rasmodius and Camilla used to date. Yes? No? Maybe. I'm not sure. On the last day of the season, I woke up and found $500 in my mailbox. Thank you so much to whoever gave it to me. Grabbed my watering can finally and decided to go back to Ginger Island to actually venture through the volcano. There was a bunch of tiger slimes, some explosive dudes, some lava dudes that were really reminiscent of water dudes from Link to the Past. If you know, you know. Should I play that game? You guys want to see me play the game? It's incredibly hard and I don't think I'm going to do good. Anyway, the little flame dude, he brought me to like the mine part of the volcano, so he had disappeared. But this is a little intimidating. Like, there's no exiting. Like, you have to go all the way back back down the stairs in which you came, unless you're on like certain floors of the volcano. Needless to say, we did not make it far, but hey, this is progress. Anyways, back outside the volcano, I decided to look for these little walnut things that are all around, but that didn't really last long because I decided to go home. Ending spring of year 2. We are now in spring, and I started off by going onto my farm and looking at all the dead plants, just tilling some of them up because we need to make room for the new summer plants. Spring is over, summertime is here. And then I immediately drink a coffee because we need to get to work. We need to be moving. After that, I go out to Pelican Town and take a look at my quest book just to see what all I need to get done, and I have a lot of things that I need to do for people. I don't know why people can never do stuff for me, but you know what, it's whatever. Immediately after that, I go straight to Pierre's, buying 15 of each plant because one of the achievements is to sell 15 of each crop, and I really don't know where I'm at with any of them, so just to be safe, I'm buying 15 of each. Better safe than sorry, you know. Anyway, if we do some quick math, 15 times what is that? 12? Who knows? I don't know quick math like that. Zoe, get your calculator out, please. There's this walnut that I really couldn't get to. I don't know how to get that, so for now, we're just gonna leave it there. I'm not sure. Looking at this like bird statue gem thing, and I don't know what to do. Spoiler alert, I may have cheated the system. I may have cheated the system in the future. Anyway, little old me found a secret in the volcano going all the way to the left. There's like another staircase that you can go out, and boom, we have some more walnuts. I was wondering how we get to that cave that's over there, but it looks like we're limited to just those 2 walnuts. Anyways, after doing that, I just have been running around the island to see what other little secrets places that the walnuts could be sitting, and apparently there's like very obvious tiles that like are circulated or have X's in them that show you, and then eventually I do cheat and look up how the heck you talk to the freaking bird, and apparently there's a walnut in his tree. Then immediately after that I went fishing just to see what kind of different fish are on the island. Anyways, back into freaking, what's this kid's name? Clint, Gus, Leo, who knows. Finally get a new cutscene with the kid, and he's actually talking to me this time. Yeah boy, get off that ladder and come say hello please. Don't be rude. Don't be effing rude. Anyways, Leo said he got washed up on shore. He doesn't know where his parents are, which is low-key sad. They should make an update in the future where you can like find his parents so they can be reunited. You know how worried that they probably are? Leo, let me get you back to Pelican Town. Anyway, I try to go interact with this turtle onto the left because he's clearly hiding more land, and he was not messing with me, so I just decided to leave him alone and go fishing one more time before ending the night. Okay, I lied. I went back to the main island to look for more walnuts and found a few more, and then I discovered this bird that apparently could show you where the rest of them are, but he costs way too much money that I'm not going to give him. Anyways, the next day I go over to Cindersap Forest to see the bear that's selling syrups and all that, and I end up buying some fir syrup, fir wax, that's what they call it, a few mahogany seeds, and then I'm on my merry way to the secret woods to collect hardwood because I guess I need it for something that I can't remember in this current moment because Zoe doesn't take notes when she does these narrations. Anyways, deeper into Cindersap Forest, there's these red bane berries that I've never seen before. I think they're part of SVE, but I went ahead and collected them because I needed to sell them because again, we need to sell everything in this freaking game, it feels like. After that, I go to the mines to kill those like little coal, the dust fairies, the dust mites, whatever they're called, because I need to get 500 of them for the elimination, for the, you know. Anyways, back on my farm in my bigger greenhouse, my star fruits are done growing, so I just spend the time collecting them, and we get like 144 star fruits each time because of the layout that I've made. After that, I immediately went over to see Sandy so I could replenish the star fruits that I just picked up. After that, I went over to my fir trees that were already grown, and I put some tappers on it because we really need a lot of fir wax in order to build the premium barn and the premium coop. But in the meantime, we also need to grow some oak trees because we need the oak resin for kegs, because I do plan on having a wine farm as well. Anyway, I took the cask from the bottom of my basement in my house because we're gonna move those to my new greenhouse, my shed, whatever you want to call it, because again, we want to have this wine farm to be optimized as much as possible, but we'll get into that later in the video. Anyway, the next day I continue on with my fir sapling, my trees, planting them, and I have a bunch of fir wax already ready for me to collect. Later that day, I went over to Ginger Island and bought the parrot walnut pricing thing for the turtle to get the freak out of our freaking mother freaking way, you freaking freak. We just needed to get that turtle out the way because now we have a new farm on Ginger Island, which we can't really have the house just yet because we need 10 more walnuts, but we'll get that eventually. Trust me. Trust me, Fiona. Apparently on Ginger Island, they have lost notes, kind of like the secret notes back in Pelican Town. And this lady, or this man, whoever, I can't read as fast as my thing is showing me, but he's missing something. She, he, I don't know. Anyways, I'm over here trying to collect more walnuts as I see them. There's this little pickle looking dude, and I do cheat the system and kill him because, you know, we need the walnuts. Zoe is about the money, okay? And then there's this lady named Gertie, named Birdie. I don't know. She's an old woman. She's waiting for her husband to come back from sea. I believe the secret notes that we see here are directly from him or something along those lines. But yeah, she lives on the island with me, so this is her home. I like to think of my side of the island as my vacation home, so she's like my neighbor. That's crazy. Hey girl, if you need any fruits, don't ask. Anyway, she's giving me a keepsake of his, a photograph, a war memento, so we can like trade with people in Pelican Town, which is like a whole game of telephone that we'll get into later. Discovered this door, and I believe this is the Mr. Key, Mr. QI, whatever his freaking name is. We get to see him in there, but we need 100 walnuts, I believe is what it asked for, and we're definitely a ways away from getting 100 walnuts total. But as I'm continuing my search, I find this cave with like some colorful crystals in it, and it's a musical game of memory. Now, one thing about me, I initially was going to major in music education when I started my college journey. Did I stick with it? No, but you can believe that I know how to follow a pattern, okay? Anyway, I completed it. I got 3 golden walnuts. Yay me, I'm so smart, so tea, so purr. At the bottom of the island, there's a bunch of mussels like in rock formation, and there's this pirate ship at the bottom that I don't know if you can go into at the moment, but we'll see later, I guess. I ran into Leo and he told me something. I don't care, I didn't even read it. But as I went up towards the professor's tent on the left where there's that cave and a bunch of, you know, tillable items, I went ahead and built the bridge. I paid 10 walnuts for this, and honestly this is probably one of the best purchases we made. We'll find out why later. But I'm over here trying to break this boulder and like it is not budging. I'm gonna have to come back with a, oh, okay, I guess I already had a bomb on me. Ugh, so lucky Zoe. Anyway, after exploding that thing, got a little cutscene, and a man came out, the scientist dude that lives in the freaking tent. How did you get stuck in there, sir? We're glad you're safe. What did you eat for sustenance? Oh, mushrooms. It was a mushroom cave, okay. That had to be nasty breakfast. You think he went in the bathroom in there too? Let's not talk about it. Anyway, decided to use one of my camp tents so I could stay the night because I didn't really feel like going all the way home because I would have to take the boat. But the next day I went into the mushroom cave just to see what it was about, and it literally just had mushrooms in it, nothing interesting, which was, you know, waste of time. Then I went over to the professor to see what his tent was really about and had a nice cutscene with him. Basically, he collects fossils and archaeological, you know, nonsense, whatever. So basically, like the museum back at home, we'll be collecting fossils, bones, you name it, and we'll be bringing it back to him for rewards, which I believe are golden walnuts. I saw that he had this survey and decided to leave it for later, but I went back to the farm part of the island to see this weird little path, and it wasn't working for me for some reason. I don't know if it was a glitch with the mod, but I decided to ignore it and instead go to the bottom of the map back to the pirate ship because there was also a path there that I was in fact able to look through. Towards the end of the day, I decided to go back to Pelican Town to fish for a little bit because there are still some fish that we need to catch for the Master Angler achievement, and then I even go to the secret forest to fish some more. Finally, I caught what I was looking for, the grass carp. Back at home, I discovered that Demetrius is asking for a puffer fish specimen and his reward is going to be 1,000 gold. And then the next morning, I delivered the stuff that Pam needed, potato juice, which is very weird, but I'm not judging. Anyway, spent my golden ticket at Lewis's house and got 12 bombs, which I'm not hating, but I wish I could have got something better because, you know, I could just make bombs if I really wanted to. And then I went over to Clint to drop off some gold for him because he needed it for something that I can't remember, yada yada yada. Who the heck cares about Clint? Then back on Ginger Island, I decided to go into the volcano, just, you know, mine around, kill some of the mobs that need to be eradicated. And then I finally get to level 5 of the volcano, and there's another dwarf dude here, and he's selling some very interesting items. However, he's not necessarily trading gold for all of the items, which is a little frustrating. I really want this diamond hunter book, but it cost me 10 diamonds, which I don't have on me. But I did decide to buy the recipe for the island warp totem. After some mining, I have finally made it to the top of the volcano where I see Lance. Spoiler alert, this is the man I'm gonna try to romance in this playthrough because why not? He's a new bachelor, let's do it. Look at his magenta hair. Magenta, or would you say burgundy? Zoe, you're the art major here. I don't know, figure it out. Very much pink though. Anyways, looking at this forge thing, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing with it. I think you can combine like your weapons and gems for like upgrades, kind of like in Minecraft if you were to enchant your items, but we're absolutely not ready to discover this because Zoe's only able to do so much research in a given amount of time. But I somehow got a prismatic shard and I need to put it in my inventory obviously, but I need to get rid of other things and I don't really want to get rid of anything else in my inventory, but you know, you do what you can. And also discovered that there were a few golden walnuts on the volcano as well. Leaving the volcano was a little confusing because of the button mechanism that was leading up to the top of the volcano, and I really don't know how to like get out of this. This tiger freaking slime is on my head. Like, geez, a girl is confused. And then I noticed that there's more buttons off to the like top right, which also did nothing. So I may be fainting in the volcano tonight. I may be falling down. So instead of cheating and trying to figure this out, because I was panicking, I decided to try and sleep on the top of the volcano, which was not working out for me. But I finally discovered the correct door that I was supposed to exit out. I don't know why I made that so complicated, but you know, we made it. The next day, I donated another fossil to the professor, and he gave me a golden walnut as a reward. Thank you, sir, but only one. It's a little crazy. I feel like I deserve more, but we'll be on our merry way. Back on the west side of Ginger Island, I decided to pay for the farmhouse finally, so we can actually have somewhere to sleep for the night. Then I went to the cave on the top right, and there is this big old like old frog looking dude, and he wants me to cultivate some crops for him. Unfortunately, I don't really have those at the moment because like I also don't know what he's talking about. So I did a little bit of research. He wants some melons, he wants some wheat, and he wants some garlic. Sir, you're gonna have to wait. Anyways, after that, I decided to go fishing because again, we still need to get our master angler achievement. So I just want to collect all the tropical fish that we can. And literally the first fish I got was not even a tropical fish. Like, oh my goodness, we get you back on Pelican Town. Like, it was something cool. Anyway, after that disappointment, I did decide to go back home. And when I got back home, I had a cutscene with Clint, and he was telling me about a path being cleared. I don't remember the context of said path. I went over to my new greenhouse/shed and put some kegs down, but eventually these are going to be moved because I do plan on making actual sheds that we can have our wine being created in. And then in tandem with the kegs, I also put down the casks that were already in my basement. After that, I teleported to the mountains because I needed to do something, but before doing so, I had a cutscene with Linus. He invited me inside of his tent and then started making some disgusting noises. Zoe, if you don't get out of there, like, we don't play that. I don't play. Anyway, he was basically showing me a special kind of bait, but like, why couldn't we get the visual on that? We had to hear all that. I'm not buying it. I feel like I've been harassed a little bit. I got another cutscene right after when I decided to go upwards toward the train station, and I actually had it with the wizard this time about the little hidden cave in the top right. He's telling me about his ex-wife, and I guess they had issues. I mean, don't know what to tell you, sir, but she's the green witch that be flying around and cursing your chickens. But I'm gonna be honest, it's not really much of a curse because I honestly like the black chickens. So anyway, he says he's missing his special wizard ink, so basically we just need to go to her house, steal it back. As long as I get a reward, I do not mind, sir. I do not mind. I'll do some thievery for you. Just give me a nice reward. Oop, and there she go right there. She was spying on us. She knows what we're doing. Anyway, after that, I go down into the sewer and encounter another cutscene where the dwarf and Krobus are like getting into it. They have beef. Like, I had to go down there, separate it, have them calm down and everything. Like, oh my goodness. Anyway, met up back with the wizard, and he actually like put them on fire to like shut them up. It's like, oh my goodness, like, arson is crazy. Arson to a person, is that even a thing? Anyway, after that, I went over to Krobus to actually have a conversation with him, and he said he's missing this dark talisman thing. I don't know what that means. Something wizardry, something magical, I don't know. But basically, he unlocks the little like sewer cave looking door area for me to go into, and it's this gross area with a bunch of bugs. One thing about me is I don't mess with bugs. Anyway, we got his talisman thingy majiggy back Did we? Nope, I don't know. Zoe, what did we get? Anyway, after that, we went to bed and I got a freaking another cutscene, but this time it was the crop fairy growing my crops, which was really unnecessary, but whatever. Thank you, ma'am. And she took her sweet little time too. Took her like 12 business days to actually fly over the screen. Look at my horse just sitting there. So cute. I think we should change his hat at some point. Anyway, left my house and got, yes, one more cutscene with Lance this time. Lance, what you doing on my property, sir? Tell me what you like, Lance, because you're gonna be living here soon. Anyways, he heard from a colleague something. This place is breathtaking. I don't know. Yada, yada, yada. I'm not much of a listener, Lance. Anyway, he basically came over to give me his schedule, which is like, oh, so Lance, you want me to know where you're gonna be at. Okay, you don't have to tell me twice. And then, oh my goodness, the wizard is on my doorstep right after Lance. It's like, how many cutscenes am I gonna get in this one episode? I don't know what he's saying, but something about meeting him at his tower at my earliest convenience is like, when did I start working for the wizard? You know, like, I'm still a farm girl. I need to make this money. So after talking with all these people, I go over to Clank, break some golden coconuts open, break some ancient troves open, mystery boxes, geodes, etc. Literally everything. I'm trying to get it out of my chest so I can get more organized. And we got a few good items here and there, some mystery wallpapers and such that I'm never going to use, but you know, interesting nonetheless. But unfortunately, from all of those finds, I only had one thing that I could really donate to the museum, but hey, at least it's one more item. After that, I decided to go fishing in the ocean, again working on my fishing mastery, and I got a new mouse and it just was not working with my fishing endeavors. As you can see, I'm over there complaining. The next morning, I got a letter in the mail talking about the beach luau that's happening the next day, and best believe I'm bringing something tasty this time. Anyway, I did a few farm chores here and there, but I wanted to focus on my ancient seed farm, my ancient fruit farm that I plan to be growing. So I used a bunch of the fruit that I had been growing already to make more ancient seeds. And for now, we'll be growing these in my greenhouse. Back on Ginger Island, I was putting some stuff in the chest that I had laid out, and this little boy, Leo, runs directly towards them and like pushes them out of the way. It's like, are you serious? How was I supposed to know that was in your path? But whatever. Anyway, after that, did a little bit more fishing, and we got a blue tang. We got the Dory. Visited the professor because I had found another fossil, and decided to ask him for a hint where I could find the other ones because I'm having a little bit of difficulty finding the rest, but they just happen to be scattered all around pretty much. But I went back in and decided to take the island survey, which is asking me how many plants are freaking on the island, so I literally stopped what I'm doing to go around and count every freaking plant. The next day was the long-awaited beach luau where the governor was in attendance. But before putting my ingredient into the stew, I went over to Pierre's little stand to buy an ice cream recipe, which we're gonna need because we need to also create every freaking recipe in this game. But after that, I put some cheese in the soup, and the governor thoroughly enjoyed it. I got a new achievement. Yes, Zoe, great job. Look at him. He's about to eat all of the soup. He's not leaving any for anyone. Oh my goodness, sir. Like, let me get a piece of that soup. The next morning, I woke up and read my mail, and I had 2 new recipes from some of the villagers in Pelican Town. And then as I actually went into town, I got a new cutscene with George and what's her name? Penny. And basically she was offering him help without like really asking, which I'm not gonna lie, when people do that, it is kind of annoying, at least for me, because it's like, did I ask? I appreciate the gesture, but like, y'all have to ask if someone needs help before actually helping them. Anyway, I step in, I say whatever I say. George starts crying because he got angry, which like, while I agree, George, she should have asked you if you needed help, but like, you did not need to like blow up in her face. You know, she's just a lady trying to be nice to her neighbors. Like, anyway, and then she got to crying too. Why does Zoe have to save everybody in every freaking game that she plays? Like Animal Crossing, I gotta save these villagers, give them a cool looking island, I gotta spend my hard-earned money, and then now in Pelican Town, I have to be the town freaking therapist. It's like, geez, what don't I do in this place? Then I went back to Ginger Island and it was raining, and there was like this special bird standing there. Remember earlier when I mentioned like them weird bird statues? Yeah, that's what these little birds are for. 4. So I try to go over and attempt to figure it out again, and I don't know what I'm doing still. So I kind of just, guess, because I don't got time to wait for all 4 birds to show up on my island. After 5 minutes of trying to attempt that pattern, I just gave up because I think I'm using one of the wrong jewels. But I redeemed myself back at the professor's tent because I answered the survey correctly this time. But then he had another survey and it's like, sir, I don't got time to be answering all these questions. I feel like I'm back in school doing a science experiment. Like, I don't got time for this. You're standing in your tent all day. You're telling me you can't go out and count up all these plants and seashells and whatnot. And then I decide to go back on the farm part of the island and buy the mailbox, which honestly, I think it was a waste of my walnuts. Because I don't immediately need mail, but this is also when I decide to move my bed over to make things easier. But during the night, I got another little call, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the call is because I forgot to export the audio at the time of these narrations. So editing Zoe, please tell me what that noise was. I think it was the owl. Anyway, walking around Ginger Island, I figure out how to cross this freaking terrain and cross the bridge to get 2 more golden walnuts, and then I reattempt the weird path back on the farm part of the island. I found this trick on Reddit where you can use your fishing pole to help direct where you're at. Just for some reason my character wasn't going into the actual part. It was a glitch on SVE's part, I'm pretty sure, but hey, we eventually get it. Back in Pelican Town on the beach, I did a little bit more fishing and I reached a new level of understanding, which means we can go back into the mastery cave and pick a new mastery to, master. And this time I chose the farming mastery, where I got my iridium scythe. And on day 13, I decided to end the night by making more ancient fruit seeds. The next day, I went over to the wizard's tower and he was standing outside, but when I went inside, he was suddenly inside, so I guess he is really magic after all. But I had another cutscene with him because he wanted to talk to me again about something wizardry, magical, yada yada yada, Harry Potter nonsense talk. Anyway, he had me drink another drink, and yeah, I was tweaking out again like last time. It's like, sir, are you drugging me or what? But basically, I feel as something had changed within myself, whatever that means. But it looks like I now have the ability to summon warp runes, which are basically little teleportation circle thingies. You'll see. Here's a demonstration. Anyway, the wizard interaction was pretty much the only highlight of day 14. The next day, I checked my mail and Kent is asking me for a request. He wants a star fruit for his wife, Jody. Kent, I am on a mission with my star fruit. I just can't be giving out free fruit. Anyways, back on Ginger Island, I'm over here trying to collect more golden walnuts around the place. And with this bird jewel sort of thing, who's Jewel? Zoe, now is not the time for Euphoria references. Anyway, I brought another jewel that I think was actually the one I was supposed to bring, and after a few arrangements of different patterns, I finally got it. Anyway, after getting enough golden walnuts, I decided to buy the little trader bird looking entity that's in the little in-between area between Leo's place and the volcano. What is that? Is that a bird? What was that bird on Noggin? Wasn't her name Zoe also, or Zoe or something? I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about? Back on my farm, I collected a bunch of fur wax, and then as I was going up towards the mountains, I had another cutscene with the wizard. Anyway, he's showing me this interesting secluded area with a single tree in the middle, and it drops these big blue balls, let's just say. Yeah, I said it. They're fruit though, but they're super fruits. But it's a place where a bunch of different warp totem thingies, paths, whatever they're called, the little I don't know, the little circles on the ground. It's a place where all of them are connected into one hub essentially. So I could literally teleport between 4 different places within a span of 10 minutes, which is kind of crazy. Then we go back into the wizard's basement and he's giving me this potion so I can summon my own warp runes. They're called runes, Zoe warp runes. I essentially link my little nexus tree area to his basement, which is kind of I don't think I want that. I don't think I want a strange man teleporting into my area of the woods, but I mean, he did give me the power, so I guess it's only fair. Anyway, he's basically instructing me to expand my runes, and then at some point, one of his colleagues will pay me a visit. Okay. Unlocking some lore, I see. finally. After talking to the wizard, I got another cutscene, but with Robin this time. She's basically just complimenting me on my progress of my farm. Anyway, these are the berries I was talking about. They have so many buffs, so we're only going to use these in dire situations, and trust me, we're gonna get into some dire situations in the video. Anyway, as I travel further up the map, I got another cutscene, but with Susan this time. How many cutscenes am I gonna get in this one day? Anyway, Susan is telling me about her homemade fertilizer, which, Susan, I don't care, if I'm being honest, you know, I don't care. But she's asking me for some farming tips because she does acknowledge that my farm is bigger than hers, and you know what, Susan? It's all about determination. It's all about having the confidence to do something that you don't think you're able to do, and then learning from it, Susan. And then she cuts me off because she has to continue fertilizing, which is, you know, okay, Susan, just do you, girl, do you. After that, I visited Clint so I can open some mystery boxes and geodes, some of which I was able to donate to the museum. And I got a reward, which was just warp totems to my farm, which is, you know, it does come in handy, so I appreciate it. And at some point I found a dino egg, not sure when or where, but it's in my inventory, so you know what that means. Dinosaurs coming soon to the farm. Anyway, I went over to Kent to give him the star fruit that he desperately needed, and while I was there, I showed him this war memento that one old lady at Ginger Island had given me, and he recognized, I think, some of the people, or recognized what the memento was. I traded it for a gourmet tomato salt, which I'm like, who the heck wants this? So my first thought was Granny Evelyn, but the second I walked in there, I got a Christmas or birthday cutscene with George and Evelyn. It's like, it's not Christmas time, it's summer, so what's happening? And he's like, is this some sort of prank? Grandpa, I don't got time to set up no prank, okay? I'm a busy woman. And then this dude got offended and then kicked me out of his house. It's like, ugh, relax, George. Anyways, I find Granny Evelyn outside nurturing the flowers, and I try to give her this tomato salt because I'm like, old grannies like to cook, so maybe she wants it. But nope, she didn't. And then I try to ask one of these ladies if they want salt, and this girl, whatever her name is, Olivia, was all up in my way. None of these other ladies wanted salt. And then, you know what, I realized that Zoe's being a little misogynistic and assuming that all of the women in the town are good at cooking, when in fact the town cook is a man. Gus, I'm sorry that you weren't my first option, Gus, but he accepted the tomato salt, and in return I got a Stardew Valley rose. I'm not really enjoying this game of telephone, but I go back to Granny Evelyn and she hit me with another cutscene. It's like, oh my goodness. Anyway, she says she's baking cookies, which kind of proves my point I said a second ago that old people love to cook in their free time, but I guess she didn't want the tomato salt, but whatever. Anyway, cookies were delicious, Granny Evelyn, although I'm personally not a fan of chocolate chip because, guys, don't come after me, but I don't like chocolate. I don't, unless we're talking Oreo.
I'll do an Oreo.
The rose didn't belong to Granny Evelyn, and I kind of crashed out a little bit. So then I asked Emily, who said she has a friend who lives away who would appreciate it. So we're gonna get back into it later because I just don't got the energy. Anyway, I go over to the old Joja Mart and place a prismatic shard into the missing bundle. But then after that, I go to Calico Desert so I can meet up with Sandy, because Sandy is Emily's friend who lives out of town. In exchange, she gave me a TV remote. Why do you have a TV remote that doesn't belong to you? But whatever. So while I was there, I bought some starfruit, and then back in Stardew Valley, I bought the animal catalog from Marnie because she just always is never there when I need her. And then I realized that SVE added like a little shed for her in the back, which I'm not sure if there's anything we can do here. The only thing that's really interactable is this manifest of expenses and items, but other than that, it's not really an interactable space. And then while I was running around, I also went to the Aurora Farm building to put a bunch of starfruit in the little Junimo scroll thing. Moving on, I went back to my farm to plant all the starfruit seeds that I had bought earlier in the day, and then put a bunch of tappers on the oak trees that had grown. And then overnight, I got another cutscene. Oh my goodness, where I put a parsnip on some stone, and then I got a warp rune. Waking up the next day was a little crazy because we got the green rain again. As you recall in the previous video, there isn't really much to do with the green rain besides take advantage of all the fiber and trees that had grown, but the bookseller was also in town today, and I traded some books that I had and got some soup in return. While I was out and about, I went over to George's mean self and gave him this TV remote that he lost. Like, how I was about to say something something disrespectful. I'm gonna say it anyways. No, you're not. No, you're not. Anyway, how do you lose a TV remote to the one and only, what kind of TV is that? The old school SRT TVs that's in the town? Anyway, he gave me some jewel, and then I gave the jewel to the wizard because obviously it's his, and then the wizard gave me a worm, and then I gave the worm to Willie, and then Willie finally gave me the pirate's locket that I'm going to give back to Jody. As long as he can get the freak out of my way so I can give it to her. Anyway, while he was in my way, I decided to peruse around his upstairs bedroom area, and then once he was actually out of the freaking way, I went on the boat to Ginger Island to finally give this lady Birdie this lost pirate's locket that she had been searching for who knows how many years now. Anyway, I went back to Pelican Town and went by the train station so I could get into this freaking cave area so we could see this witch lady. The door kind of just flew away, but okay, whatever. Anyway, went into the cave and I teleported to the swamp. I believe this is called the Witch's Swamp. Wait, no, it's not. It's called the Forbidden Maze. And best believe a maze is what it was because Zoe Incognito was stumped and I had to look for a map online. I didn't know where I was at, where I was going. And when I thought I had made it to where I wanted to be, it was a trick. A tree was blocking the path, and you know what was on the other side? Freaking water. So I had to walk all the way around to the next available path to get to this woman's witch hut. Was I pissed? Very much so. But I got a golden carrot. I don't even know how I got that. Zoe, did you even get that from? Where's even the carrot? What are you talking about? I don't know. I think I just lied just now. Once I made it to the witch's swamp, I was greeted by her henchman who would not let me pass because he's like, this is private property, yada yada yada. But your boss can go on my property whenever she wants. Okay. Back in Pelican Town, I bought some melon seeds from Pierre and then went straight over to the abandoned Joja Mart to add 5 golden star quality ancient fruit. Then immediately after that, I went back over to Clint to get some more geodes processed and 3 mystery boxes. I somehow gotten a pufferfish. Maybe it was from the freaking mystery boxes. I was not paying attention. Anyway, I gave said pufferfish to Demetrius because he needed it for some sciencey thing. Who knows? The man's always doing science. Then went back to the witch's swamp because the henchman dude wanted some void mayonnaise. On my way to him, I got very lost again. And I noticed this house this time. I think I completely missed it, but it's locked and we cannot get to it. I gave the freaking henchman his mayonnaise. He said the smell, he can't resist it, give it to me. And he just walked away into her house, and when I went to the house, he was nowhere to be seen. But I got the wizard's magic ink that he was looking for, and then there's these like 3 shrines. I know there's like different things you can do with the shrines. I've looked it up before. If you have a kid, you can get rid of your kid and it turns into a bird, which is like, that's kind of dark. Like, that's kind of like some Poppy's Playtime type ish, you know? What you mean we're getting rid of the kids and turning them into other things? What? After that, I went over to the wizard's tower to give him his ink, and I was greeted with another cutscene, and he was like, did you happen to see my ex-wife? No, but I saw her new mans. And let me tell you, he's ugly. He's ugly, sir. So I think you're winning. He said I must be wondering about my reward. Yes, sir, because Zoe don't do anything for free. But my reward is a book of summoning that stays in this man's place. Like, you couldn't give me something I can pick up and take with me to take back to my place. It has to stay in your dwelling. Some bull to me. And it's just basically a shop. My reward is to pay you for things. Whatever. The next day, Mayor Lewis came over to my farm to tell me about something because it already happened on my screen and I can't narrate that fast, but editing Zoe will tell me there's now going to be gatherings in the community. There's now going to be gatherings in the community center on Saturdays. I don't know, something. Anyway, opened my mail and this henchman, this witch's man, sent me a threatening letter saying I need to give him some stuff because he got fired because of me. Sir, you didn't have to take the mayonnaise, but you were down bad for some mayonnaise. Who knows what for? Moving on. I headed over to Marnie's to buy some pigs because I found out pigs are a great way to make money in Stardew Valley. And if you know one thing about me is I like me a good check. I like me some gold. I like me some bacon as well. Crispy, please. Crispy. Anyway, I went back over to Clint so I can upgrade my watering can to steel. And then I went over to Willie so I could buy something. And guess who was not there, and guess who had to crash out for like 30 seconds straight? Right. Went ahead and made the bobbers that I was gonna pay for because I was preparing to catch another legendary fish. And honestly, it wasn't that hard compared to the other legendary fish that I've caught prior, but this one was the crimson fish. Anyway, I took the crimson fish over to the community center so he could shine, so he can like show off. And then as I went to bed, this woman, this witch, must have found out that I went into her house because she cursed one of my chickens. Girl, don't take it out on me, take it out on your ex-husband. I'm just doing what was asked. I got a reward for what I got. You're doing this to be petty. The next morning, I had a cutscene with Pam and she was already drinking. Like, Pam, it is what, not even 6 o'clock in the morning yet? But anyway, I came by to drop off another drink for her. I'm like, Pam, girl, you have a problem. This is not okay. This is not okay. Back on Ginger Island, I decided to trade with the little bird dude. What's his name? Do we know? Unsure. But I got a bunch of taro tubers, whatever those are. I forgot why I needed them. I think I wanted to grow them so I could trade more stuff with him. She's tweaking out. Oh my gosh, she forgot her watering can. How crazy. She went all the way to Ginger Island and forgot her watering can. I know she mad. You're talking as if that's not you, Zoe. That was Zoe of the past. I'm Zoe of the now. Anyway, I go back home to see what this community center day is all about, and I literally get nothing. Like, all you do is communicate with the town's people, and it's like, that's nice and all, but like, I want stuff. While I was there though, I did give Mayor Lewis some truffle oil that he was wanting. After visiting the community center, I went, oh my gosh, Zoe, you're stuttering today. I went over to Aurora Vineyard to see what was up after the starfruit situation, and I got greeted with another cutscene, and she's questioning like, should I go downstairs? Should I not? Zoe goes downstairs and she's greeted with a Junimo, and his name is Apples. Spirit friend gives starfruit. I did, Apples. I did. I made him happy. Oh my goodness. He's decorated. He's just circling around me. He's dancing. What's happening? Anyway, Apples is gonna leave to tell his Junimo friends about his new home, but before he does, we're gonna play. Apples, I could literally like pick you up right now and kidnap you and bring you back to my farm, but I won't do that. I won't do that. The next day, I opened my mail and I got a letter from Pam talking about whatever. She's happy for the drink. Again, calm down, Pam. Seek therapy, seek help. You should not be the town's bus driver if you're gonna be drinking this much. Anyways, went over to Calico Desert to do a little bit of foraging and then to do some geode collecting in Skull Cavern, where I found an apple sapling, which I think I already have, so we're probably just gonna end up selling it. I reached a floor that literally had like 25 dinosaurs. I think this is the first time I'm seeing this. I do not remember offhand. How do they expect me to fight all of these freaking dinosaurs? Do you see this? That's a little insane. I'm almost dead anyway, but I decided to cheat the system and made a staircase because I am not about to do all this, so bye-bye. And then literally on the next few floors, I died from a mummy. You're telling me a mummy took me out? Anyway, Dr. Harvey charged me 1,000 gold for the hospital bill. I didn't ask you to come get me. The next morning, I collected some oak resin from my oak trees and decided to go back to Calico Desert, and I had to wait for this woman, Pam, to like freaking show up to work. Like, Pam, I got places to be. I can't be standing here forever waiting for you to show up for your job. But I went back down in the mines again to collect more geodes for trading, and also so I could finally reach level 100, where Mr. Key was there to greet me with a bunch of black snakes. Sir, this is weird. Anyway, he said I passed this test with flying colors. Sir, don't be testing me. Anyway, he said go over to that table and drink the special juice, the milk I made for you. Sir, I do not want to drink any snake milk. Cow is where I draw the line. 2% please, blue cap. Anyway, after that cutscene, I decided to finish up in the mines, and then I went to bed for the evening. The next morning, I went over to the Ocean's Pier and fished for a flounder, which I needed for something, can't remember, don't know. Zoe, figure it out, please. And then back on my farm later that evening, I went into the little cave that's on like the side of the cliff on my farm so I could mine up all the ores that were there. And then I moved that trophy from outside of my house to inside because it was kind of getting in the way. But the next morning we went over to Robin and she's talking about a community upgrade, and I didn't really know what that was, and she said it was for Pam to get a new house, and I immediately declined because I'm not about to build Pam a new house. She's a grown woman. Pam, go get a job. She has a job. Right, she does have a job. The reason I was at Robin's though was to build a shed because, like I said previously, we are going to get into wine making, and I wanted a shed so I can have one big area to hold all my kegs. Now we do need to upgrade this shed once it is built because we do want the bigger shed so we can obviously grow more wine at once. But hey, this is the start. This is the start of Zoe's money making. And oh my gosh, it took this girl like 10 years to figure out where she wanted to place this shed at. Okay, so I definitely lied. That was not the shed. I built a pond, a fish pond. See, you get on your past self for not knowing what she's doing, but Zoe, you don't know what you're doing now. Figure it out. The next day, I went around town giving everyone diamonds because I need to get my friendship level up. We're a little too late in the game to just now be getting our friendship levels up, but hey, we need to start somewhere, right? And then as I was going into Emily and Haley's house, I got a cutscene with Emily, and she's like in her bed and she's dreaming, and she's on this like weird meditation za trip where she's like in the clouds on a little pyramid thing, and then she's like dreaming about me, and it's like, girl, we're going for Lance. I'm so sorry to tell you, we're going for Lance. But here's a diamond anyways. Here's a diamond, girl. You're welcome. And then I went over to her neighbor's house, Jody, and got a cutscene with her. And then her man, Kent, her husband, came in here yelling and immediately went up to me. Like, sir, back up. I don't know what kind of PTSD you're going through right now, but I do not feel safe. And then she's asking me to say something to him. Jody, you're older than me. I don't know the troubles of war. You're his wife. I'm just some person that lives in the same town as you, wearing a bone in my hair. I'm like, don't put me in the middle of your marriage, Jody. Anyways, later that day, I went back to my new friend Apples, and I got another cutscene with him. I think it's a him. I'm not even sure. And he gave me a bottle of what he calls old grape juice, but sir, it definitely is some wine. Where's the bread to go with it? He created a rune for me, a teleportation rune. But later that evening, I decide to decorate my house because I just bought the catalog earlier in the day from Robin, and it took me literally hours to figure out how I wanted to decorate my house. You see, I got the new flat screen TV. Did I have that already? I don't know. Anyway, got a fish tank, put some fish up in there. On day 27, a bunch of my fur wax was ready to be harvested, so I did just that. And again, we're gonna be using this for the premium coops and barns once we're ready to buy them. And then over in Pelican Town, I collected my crab pots because I wasn't really using them, and we need to get some ocean crustaceans at some point to again contribute to our fishing mastery. But after that, I went over to Pierre and started buying some ingredients because we need to start getting into cooking. Like, we are so delayed with friendship, with cooking. I need to lock in. So my plan from here on out in terms of cooking is to literally create everything I can by each season, so long as I have the recipe for it, you know. So I started off with some eggs, some pancakes, some bread, cake, you know, just a few things here and there. And then I discovered you can make a triple shot espresso, which is like way better than a cup of coffee. So yeah, we're making these every day now pretty much. And then I made some sashimi because I believe Pierre was asking me about it. In my coop, I discovered that my egg had hatched, the lizard egg, the dinosaur egg, and we named him Swampy. And he is so cute. Swampy, ugh, look at him. I gave Pierre his sashimi that he wanted, and he gave me 1,000 gold in return. Thank you, Pierre. And then I took some of the fur wax that I had been collecting along with some hardwood and some stone, and Zoe right after tweaks out because she realized that her pond isn't even constructed yet, so she can't even go up to Robin to buy what she wanted to buy. So instead she does her Animal Crossing thing and adds more furniture and decorations to her house instead. And that officially wraps up summertime. So guys, we went through this the last video. We're halfway through this one now, and I see that you're still not subscribed. So you think this is a joke? I went through all this editing for you to just watch for free? Go ahead and click that subscribe button. It's just one click, please. It's giving simp, Zoe. You know what, guys? Just if you like the vibes here, just know, like, on some chill, whatever, like, just go ahead and subscribe. You subscribed? Oh my god, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Alrighty people, we are now into fall. At the time of me recording these narrations, Zoe is a little bit sick. She's a little bit sick. Anyways, Jody's at my house for some reason. She said she wanted to give me something, bring a largemouth bass to dinner. Okay, we're gonna have dinner. Again, she's putting me in the middle of her family. Like, girl, I'm just your neighbor, but whatever. She wants me to have dinner with them. Fine. My fish pond has finally been constructed, and I put a few, what are these, sturgeon in there because I need some some sturgeon roe for caviar because caviar is one of the things I need to sell in order to get, I don't know, mastery. We're getting too far into the video, you know what I mean. Anyways, I go back to Robin where she can finally start building these premium barns and coop on my farm, starting with the premium barn because that costs more, and you know what, might as well get that one out of the way. And if you guys aren't familiar, the premium barn and coop are part of the SVE mod. And as per usual, I take 100 years to figure out where I want to put it. I would like to put it where my barn and coop are at now, but we can't because they're in the way, so we'll just put it off to the side for now. But going down towards Pelican Town, I get another cutscene on Shearwater Bridge, which again is part of SVE. And this woman, this lady Camila, startles me. Anyway, she's a friend of the wizard Rasmodius, and she's asking me if I come here often. Girl, if you don't get to the point of what you're trying to say. Anyway, she did something to the water, adding some catfish, and I'm not talking about actual catfish, I'm talking about literal fish that have cat faces on it to have friends with the puppy fish. But I don't know if you knew this, Camila, but dogs don't like cats. Anyways, over in Pierre's, I bought a few different seeds, mainly sweet potato because that's one of the few things I hadn't grown already. Oh my goodness, guys, between this clip that I'm recording now and the last clip, I literally sat here and recorded 10 minutes of narrations, and then DaVinci Resolve decided to delete all of them once I clicked finish. And it's like, do I even want to continue doing these narrations anymore? Zoe's gonna crash out. Zoe's already feeling sick, and it's like, what the heck am I doing here if I can't freaking have these narrations be here? Like why did you delete the narrations? So if I have a slight attitude, that's why. Anyways, I'm still at freaking Pierre's establishment buying these freaking seeds, and then you know what the next clip is? Right, I go home when I plant the freaking seeds. You know what was happening next. Thank you for watching. Moving on. Next, I go over to Clint because I needed to collect my watering can from him, which would have came in handy when I was on Ginger Island a few days ago, but you know, at least we have it now. But after planning everything on my farm, I made a few sprinklers for my greenhouse so I could start planting more ancient fruit seeds at one time. And because I don't know, so yeah, I don't even want to do these narrations anymore, CapCut or DaVinci Resolve, you pissed me off. Anyways, because I already had some ancient fruit in my hand, I decided to make some seeds while I was there, thus ending my first night of fall. The next day, I collected all my star fruits that had grown and went over to Calico Desert to buy some more. I bought a little too much, but you know what, that's fine, that's less we have to buy for next time. But I decided to go back to Pierre because I needed a few more seeds, and I forgot that I had literally just went over to Calico Desert to spend all my money, so I didn't really get enough of the seeds that I was wanting. Very smart of me, very smart of me. Later, back on my farm, I decided to chop down all of the fir trees that I had because I was pretty much done collecting the fir wax because we have enough to officially buy the premium coop and barn. We're gonna go ahead and start with the premium barn because it costs more and we might as well get it out of the way. I moved all of the tappers that were on the fir trees over to my oak trees because we're still needing a bunch of oak resin, again for kegs, so we can get our wine business underway. Then I decided to go over to the mines because I needed to catch some fish, and while I was there, our new bachelor Lance was there, so I went back home to get him a diamond because you know we're trying to romance him. Thanks, Lance, hope you like your diamond. Over in the caves though, I specifically went to the first water level to try to get a few different fish, namely the lava eel and some cave jelly, because we need all three jellies to make the fish smoker, which I don't currently have, but I'm having a lot of difficulty finding any of the fish that I'm wanting. I tried the ice caves and that wasn't really doing much for me, so then I went over to the lava caves and finally caught onto the lava eel, which was very hard to catch, by the way. Then after, I had a cutscene with Marlin where he's telling me about, I don't even know, something about the Adventurers Guild, yada yada yada. He lets me into his bedroom for some reason with the door closed. Marlin, let's go ahead and open that back up. I never realized that he has a bunk bed for him and Gil. That's kind of cute. He makes a teleportation rune for me, and then after we have that little cutscene, I go back into his room because there's a present in there and I didn't realize I can actually go into his room now. So opening the gift, he gave me a book, and out of curiosity, I went over to the new room that had just been made and discovered that I have like 4 or 5 in my little tree area now that I can just teleport to. But I decided to teleport to the wizard's basement to see that he had a bunch, but not all of them were active. So I went over to the one that was active, the witch's swamp, and went fishing in it because we also needed to fish for the void salmon, which was also kind of hard to catch, which we then put into my fish tank. The next day I went over to Clint because I needed him to open a bunch of geodes and mystery boxes. We're collecting a bunch of geodes because there's one mineral that I'm still missing in the community center, which we finally get. I was so excited once we had had it. Pyrite, which is, I've never heard of that mineral before, but we officially donated it to the community center, which means all that we're waiting for are the artifacts. I wanted to go over to the beach, but this man, Sebastian Elliott, whatever his name is, was all up in my way because I was trying to collect some artifacts so we can donate to the museum, because I saw on some Reddit post or maybe a wiki page that you can use the treasure totem to like make a bunch of those little worms in the ground, and I in fact didn't get a single artifact that I needed, so someone lied. But after that I went over to the mastery cave because I low-key forgot that I unlocked a new mastery level, and this time I decided to unlock the mining mastery. Then a little further south, where there was another teleportation rune, I was collecting some moss because we eventually are going to need it for the Statue of Blessings. But I went into the rune and discovered the Junimo forest, where a Junimo named Peaches greeted me. She basically gave me a scroll and then had me follow her into the woods, which kids that are watching, you do not follow strangers into the woods. Please don't do that. But she took me to all her little Junimo friends, and oh my gosh, they're all adorable. They're all different colors. I just want to collect them all, you know? Somebody give me a Pokeball. I'm here to catch them all. Going back into the Junimo forest, I tried to like walk around, but it was sort of like a maze, and I'm gonna be honest, I just did not have the energy to try to figure out how to navigate it, so I left immediately. And then once leaving the Junimo forest, I went over to the west side of Cinder Sap forest and got greeted with a very short cutscene saying that a hidden pathway was just unlocked, and I'm gonna be honest, I never go back to figure out what this is in this entire gameplay. So let me just get my pin out. Let me get my testing. Hello, can you hear me? This whole entire production of this video is so unprofessional, and I apologize, but guess what? I'm about to buy me a new mic because this is not the first time that noise has happened with my microphone. You should see the way my microphone is actually set up right now. Zoe, take a picture, put it in the video. It's sitting in a cup. I don't even have the stand for it anymore. It's sitting in a cup. Anyways, I don't even know what's going on. Zoe, she moved her animals over and she's demolishing the old barn. Okay, you know what, we don't need it anymore. And then while I was at Robin's place, I decided to change the color of the new barn, and then I somehow messed it up because she didn't save her color profile, but you know what, I figured it out in the end, so don't you worry, colors are all matching now. Then over on Shearwater Bridge, I decided to go fishing to see if I can catch this kitty fish that Camila had cursed into the water, but I keep catching these little tiny minnows instead. It's like, give me a bigger fish, give me a bite. And then finally I caught onto something a little bit more difficult, and I'm pretty sure it was the kitty fish. And would you look at that, it was this abomination. I decided to put the abomination in my fish tank. Then back on my farm, I made a few kegs so we can again start prepping for my wine business, where I then collected some of the starfruit wine that I had already made, where I then put in some, I think, tea leaves or hops or whatever that is, because I needed it for something that I can't remember in this current moment. After that, I went over to the mutant bug lair because again, I needed to catch some more fish for again my fishing mastery. Everything boils down to my fishing mastery level. And we got this water grub, which is a gross looking shrimp fish, I don't even know. Then we also caught a snatcher worm. Then back in the sewers, I caught the radioactive carp, which took freaking forever. It's a radioactive bass, so we get it right. And then back on my farm, I decided to put a graham cracker in my fishing pond to make the caviar production speed up, because it's taking them forever to produce one piece of caviar. Like, hurry up. We went over to the missing bundle and put the void salmon in there. So I think I said earlier that I put that void salmon in my fish tank. Very much lied. And then after that, I went to the south part of the Cindersap forest by the lake so I could fish in the waterfall because I needed a salmon and a goby, and it just wasn't working for me at first, so I had to do a little bit of research, and I found out that I was fishing in the wrong part of the waterfall. So I eventually got my salmon, and then a few moments later got the goby. And then after that, I went over to what is called the Junimo Spring. She went to the pond, she got a little bit undressed to go into this secret cave behind the waterfall to collect a bunch of ancient fruit and then mushrooms. And then on the other side of the pond, there was a bunch of flowers. And then while I was there, I decided to go fishing in the pond because there was a few fish that we needed to catch, again for my fishing mastery, one of which was a glowfish and the other was a meteor carp. Now back on my farm, I decided to make the dumbest mistake of all of my 200 days, which was planting ancient fruit seeds on the actual farm part. Now you may be asking, why was this a stupid mistake, Zoe, and how did this waste all all of your time. Well, if you see what day it is Sunday the 7th, and ancient fruit seeds take an entire month to grow. However, they do not grow in the wintertime. So by the time they're actually ready to be ripened, they're gonna be dead the next day. Not even, they were gonna be dead before they were ripe. Back over in the Junimo Spring, I got another cutscene, which I completely missed because I was complaining about my ancient fruits, and I found, oh, maybe she got another warp. On day 7, I decided to go to Skull Caverns to collect a bunch more geodes so we can actually trade them with a trader dude that's up there, because we needed some troves, because again, we need these artifacts for the museum. It's very vital for me that I finish the museum before the end of my 200 days. The next morning, I was greeted by Camila on my farm, and she immediately had me teleporting places. It's like, girl, you need to give me a warning. Thank you. Look at me shaking. I'm scared. Apparently, this place with all the warps in the tree is called the Nexus. Glad I finally know what that's called. She's showing me this new area outside of Pelican Town called the Badlands, and it is described exactly as such because this area is a bad land, you know, like I tried to do some wordplay there. It didn't really work out. Just ignore that. Let's continue. After that cutscene, I decided to go back to Calico Desert and do a little bit of foraging because, you know, might as well, and traded a bunch of my geodes for those ancient troves. And then while I was here, I decided to go fishing in the lake because again, we needed a certain fish. And I realized that there was no way I was gonna catch this fish. You see how difficult it was moving? Like, dude. So instead, I decided to go back into Skull Caverns, and the first freaking floor was a mob floor, and you know what? I just don't got time for this right now. So I decided to go back to Willy, back in Pelican Town, and then go back over to Calico Desert so I can retry getting this fish, but with bobbers this time. And needless to say, that did the trick. Oh my goodness, Scorpion Carp, you were like harder than the legend. After that, I go back into Skull Caverns, and the first floor was actually doable, thank you, because who has time to kill all mobs on a floor? I say that, and then I get a floor with all dinosaurs. Right. Anyway, the next day, Mayor Lewis sent me a letter saying that the Stardew Valley Fair is a week from today, which I'm not really prepared for. But after that, I went around town giving everyone frozen tears because I realized those are easier to duplicate than the diamonds. They take less time. Plus, everyone likes them. And then while I was giving Clint his tier, I decided to get some geodes open, artifacts opened, yada yada yada, where I was able to donate 4 items to the museum. Then after that, I went over to my Nexus to see exactly what the Badlands were about and got greeted with another mini cutscene with 2 travelers that who cares what their names are, I don't know. Anyway, this area has like a red hue over the screen. There's like a dust storm happening. There's a bunch of mummies, slimes. So I decided to bail because I realized I'm not well equipped for this adventure today. So I decided to do a little bit of snooping around the actual like lobby area, and there was a treasure chest, and in it was just another schedule, and it's like, this is not treasure. Don't put this in a chest next time. Later that day, I went over to the Forbidden Maze, the Hidden Maze, I forget. Anyway, the henchman is telling me about his house and that his boss was furious that he let me into her house, which, again, henchman, that's your problem. But anyway, he's threatening me with something, and he's forcing me to get him a dozen different types of mushrooms, and it's like, sir, you're literally living in the Forbidden Maze. Do it yourself. There's mushrooms everywhere. But while I was here, I decided to do a little bit of fishing because, again, we need a certain fish. And later that evening on my farm, I collected a bunch of oak resin, and then finally created one of the statues that were new to 1.6. The next day, I went over to Robin so she can build a shed for me, and I tweak out a little bit because my items are in the way, and I wanted this shed to be right next to my house. This shed will be intended for all those items that are literally sitting outside of it, like all those chests, because we need to get organized. And then after that, I went back to Skull Caverns to again collect a bunch of geodes. And while I was there, I completed a monster eradication goal. Like a few days prior, the next morning, I went around town giving everyone gifts and added the remaining items to the missing bundle in the abandoned Joja Mart. Once doing so, I was greeted with a cutscene with another Junimo. He's purple, so I'm just gonna call him Grape. He's waving at me, hey Grape, how are you doing? And he exploded into stars. Okay, we killed him, but something good will happen soon. Back on my farm, I decided to make 2 more mystic tree seeds because we really need to get more treasure totems because we need a bunch of geodes, like I keep saying, and one of the ways you can get a bunch of geodes is by going to Ginger Island and planting the treasure totems there. But I'm over here tweaking out because it's not letting me plant the seed where I want it. I want the trees to be even open and it's just not letting me. So Zoe's crashing out a little bit, not gonna lie. But later that day, I went back over to the Badlands and I made sure to bring some life elixir because we need to be prepared for this, you know. But I mainly wanted to come here because SVE adds 2 more fish in the Badlands, and I'm gonna be honest, it was real hard to even sit there because everything wanted to come after me. But we did get the bonefish, but immediately after we died. But that's why we have the life elixir on us. But they did take my warp totem. I only brought 1, and that was my way to get back home. So we are gonna end our Badlands adventure for the evening. But at the end of the night, we did get a cutscene of the abandoned Joja Mart. The next morning, Marlon came to my house to tell me about something that I don't care about, nor do I remember. But good news, our shed is complete, so we can begin moving our chests and other machinery in there so we can start getting organized. Then later that morning, I went back over to Robin so she could move the shed because I wanted it even with my house. And unfortunately, the shed cannot be painted. That's my only gripe with the shed. It's like, what the heck? Everything else can be painted, but I can't paint the shed. That seems stupid to me. Anyways, later that day, we go back to Skull Caverns because again, we need geodes. We need Omni geodes real bad. And while I was there, I got a new hat, a dark cowboy hat, which I did not put on because the hair bone is eating. The hair bone is eating. Anyway, I ended my night by moving the rest of the machines and chests that were sitting outside my shed into the shed. The next morning, I decided it was time to like actually tend to my animals, say hello, let them know I'm still alive, you know. I sold a bunch of items, yada yada yada. But immediately after that, again, I went back over to Clint so he can open some mystery boxes and these treasure troves, which only 2 of the items I was able to donate to the museum. But hey, we got a reward, which was magic rock candy. We'll be saving that for later. After visiting the museum, I went up towards the abandoned Joja Mart, which is now a movie theater. So I bought my first ticket so we could see what movie was being shown. Anyway, there wasn't really much I can do in the actual lobby part of the theater. There was this dude who was hogging the crane machine, and it's like, dude, get off, I got money to spend too. Anyway, we went over to the actual movie part and we saw this movie called Mysterium, which is very odd, very creepy. Do not recommend. 2 stars. After I wrapped up the movie, I saw a few people I knew from town, and Pam is over here yelling at kids. It's like, oh my goodness, Pam, get a life, woman. Such a rude lady. After watching the movie, I went back over to Robin so she can build another shed for me. This shed will be intended for my wine making. After visiting her, I went over to the Adventurers Guild where Marlon gave me another cutscene where he's talking about our future man, Lance. Okay, what you gotta say about him? He's saying he needs a variety of monster parts because there's this place called the Highlands that we need to unlock, but we'll get to that later. And since I was in the area, I went over to the cave to not mine, but to actually fish because again, you know what I'm gonna say. Which I was mainly trying to get the cave jelly, which again, I just was not getting. So I decided to go to the lava level of the mines to try to fish there. And then I realized that I should be fishing closer to the shore, and that finally got me the cave jelly I was looking for. The next morning, I went over to Pierre's to buy a bunch more seeds, but not only seeds, but to buy some ingredients because we need to get cooking again, guys. We need to get these recipes underway. And I don't think I mentioned, but I have one of these chests dedicated to recipes. So like if I need a pumpkin, I'll save 2 pumpkins, you know, for a recipe later if I'm still missing some of the other ingredients. Basically like a little fridge. But while I was on my farm, I finally made the smoker, which I think I needed for the raccoon. Anyway, back inside, we do some cooking, some baking, you know. And for the remainder of the evening, I went over to that secret skull cave. I don't remember why, but I didn't find anything that I needed in there, and finally ended the night by mining in the quarry. Guys, so this chick Zoe, and I'm talking about myself. This chick Zoe like just continues to piss me off day after day, night after night, minute after minute. Cause like, what do you mean you literally sat here recording for 15 minutes again and you somehow deleted your voice notes? I don't get it. Zoe, you're prolonging your own editing process. So here's what I'm gonna do, people. I'm going to watch this footage in like times 10 speed, okay? So there's gonna be a lot of discrepancies in what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking. So we're gonna have to also rely heavily on editing Zoe. She's gonna be pissed at me. She's gonna be pissed. Anyway, here we go. The next morning, I checked my mail and Mayor Lewis is reminding me that the Stardew Valley Fair is tomorrow. And then immediately after that, I went to my shed/greenhouse to pick up a bunch of starfruit wine that I had, and then I went ahead and replenished it. And then at the same time, my actual starfruits were done growing, so I went ahead, bought more seeds, and replanted those as well. Immediately after that, I went over to Robin island so she can start working on my bigger shed because again, we need to get this wine business underway. Later, I collected some fish eggs for my sturgeon, which I think I need for caviar, or maybe I already did that. I don't know. Then visited Willie to go over to Ginger Island so I can 1, do a little bit of trading, and then 2, use my treasure troves to collect more geodes. And oh my goodness, we collected so many freaking geodes and a few troves, not to mention an animal cracker. Yeah, this is the method. This is definitely the method for getting geodes. I also got a few fossils, which I then donated to Professor Snail. And then back on my farm on the Ginger Island side, I went over to the weird looking frog dude because my melons had grown and he just wanted to see them. He didn't want to collect them. He didn't want to eat them. He just like literally wanted to see grown melons out of the ground. Okay, weird fantasy, weird kink, I don't know. Then after that, I planted some wheat seeds because that was the next in line of the plants that he wanted to see grown. I don't know. Oh my gosh, so much stuff is happening. And then I looked at a secret note to get a secret, and then the next day, go back. I did some fishing, did some walnut collecting, yada yada yada. The next day was the Stardew Valley Fair, which I did not participate in the little display because I don't have time for that. Then I played the Target game to collect a bunch of tokens so I could buy the prismatic pop. The next morning, I went over to Clint so he could open all the mystery boxes, troves, and some of the geodes that I had gotten from the treasure totems, which I forgot to trade for more ancient troves, so I had to go back to Ginger Island real quick, and then I went back to Clint so he can open the 12 troves that I had, which I had a few duplicates, which I'm like, okay, whatever, but I have a lot of artifacts, so part of me is like, okay, we got a lot of our artifacts done. Needless to say, no, we didn't. We only had 1 that we could donate. Like, oh my goodness, what is the method? What am I missing? Why is SVE making it so hard to collect artifacts? Anyways, later that day, I went over to the Badlands, and before I even ventured outward, I ate one of those big juicy blue melon thingies that were in my Nexus area where that big tree is at. There's like this big castle in the Badlands. At the moment of the time of recording, there's nothing really to do in the castle, but I'll have to check before playing my 300 days to see if there's any update. I unfortunately died twice, which is like typical Zoe, yada yada yada. But back on my farm, I collect a bunch of oak resin and then ending the night by fishing for the midnight carp because the raccoon needed it, and you know we have our smoker now, so boom, popped that in the smoker, and then the next morning gave it to the raccoon, and as a response he gave me 25 broccoli seeds, which I don't need, and then he was like, I need a wife. Sir, I'm not the one if you're asking. Oh my goodness. And then we caught some fish, and then we gave one to Gus for a thing, and then I made a bunch of kegs and put it in my brand new big shed, again getting that wine business underway. I had caught another fish, another largemouth bass, because I needed it for achievement whatever with Jody's family because she wanted to have dinner with me for some reason. Very much odd. And then I ended the night by putting a bunch of ancient fruits in said keg. And the next morning, Pam had asked me for a battery pack, probably because she needs it for a TV remote because she's lazy. Whatever, Pam, here you go. Zoe, you're gonna be annoyed with me, but backtrack. After visiting Jody's family, why did I see Sam going towards his house? Very much odd. Anyway, after giving this woman her battery pack, she drove me over to Calico Desert where I went to Skull Caverns, where I reached a new level of understanding, and then ended the night by trading with the trader for more troves. We went over to Marlin and gave him a bunch of stuff that he needed for his boat thingy majiggy. I don't know. The next morning he arrived at my house to give me another cutscene to talk about said boat, which brings us to a new location, the Highlands, and this is where our future man's Lance lives. Hello Lance, how are you? Do you dye your hair pink or is it naturally that color? Anyways, Lance is talking about something, who knows, but then he brings us to his bedroom and it's like, Lance, we're not there yet in our relationship. This is too much. Plus Marlin is here, it'll be awkward. Let's take it slow, Lance. Anyway, after Marlin left, I got another cutscene with Lance, and he's basically saying that he's trying to do some research about the Highlands area, yada yada yada. Lance, I do not care. But I do a little bit of exploring around his place. Apparently you can sleep in his bed for the night, which I didn't realize, which, you know, that would have came in handy a few of the nights I was here. But anyway, so I explore off to the west side a little bit, and the monsters really weren't that bad. Back in Pelican Town, I gave Demetrius, I think, a fish that he needed for research, obviously nerd, whatever. And then I ended the day making more kegs and adding ancient fruit to it. The next morning, I went back over to Clint because we need to freaking get these artifacts underway, which I basically did the same stuff I did the previous day, but I had to drive myself to Calico Desert, and not only that, but I had to pay for it. It's like, what the heck, Pam? Do your freaking job. While I was in Calico Desert though, I reached a new monster eradication goal. The next day was pretty much the same. I went around town giving people gifts, visited Clint to open more stuff, and then went back to Calico Desert to again collect collect more geodes in the Skull Cavern. And I keep forgetting that Sandy is a person that we can like interact with, so I've also been giving her gifts pretty much every time I've been coming to Calico Desert. Sorry, Sandy, straight up forgot about you, girl. Day 24 was again a bunch of the same stuff, gift giving, opening troves. And then while I was gift giving, I was visiting Gus and got greeted with another cutscene, and he said he's concerned about Pam. So am I, Gus. She's crazy, she yells at kids, she's an alcoholic, and she don't show up for work. I'm concerned too. Anyway, after that cutscene, I got a new achievement by giving Gus a gift. Networking back on my farm, I collect a bunch of oak resin to again make more kegs. And then I went over to the mastery cave because I keep forgetting that I'm unlocking new levels. And this time I unlocked the final mastery achievement, and I got a new little notification that Grandpa is holding my shoulder. Thanks, Gramps. The next morning, Gus came over to my house to tell me about, I don't know, we're watching this in times 10 speed. It's moving way too fast on my screen to even see what he's reading. But he gave me a jukebox, a mini jukebox. It's like, oh my goodness, what did I do to earn this? But thank you, sir. Thank you. Continued my morning by making recipes this time. You know, we had to break up the continuous monotony with cooking. But after that, I placed down my jukebox in the corner over by my fish tank. And then after that, I went over to the Highlands area to do a little bit more exploring and also some fishing because there's some SVE related fish that we can catch here. The fiber goby. But I was unable to catch the other one that was in the river. The next morning, I got a letter from Mayor Lewis talking about an event happening this evening or in a few days, I can't remember. But I go back over to the Highlands to try to catch this fish because it just wasn't messing with me. Like, dude, I just need to catch you. Like, just let me do it for the one time. That didn't sound right. But we're catching a bunch of carp instead. It's like, I don't know if I'm on the wrong side of the river or if it's just a game issue or what. But finally I caught it, the Highlands bass. After that, I did a bit more exploring and found a cave and like, oh my goodness, this is a big doorway. And as I go inside, I'm already seeing monsters and I immediately die, which was embarrassing, very much embarrassing. But guess who rescued us? Guess who rescued us? Yes, 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 yes. But I lost my life elixir and that's literally the reason I came over here. But I went back over to the cave and like, oh my goodness, guys, this cave is so big. And then I died again. The next day in Cindersap Forest, I go down to where the waterfalls are at to try to catch another fish. I don't know what I'm trying to catch. Zoe, what are you doing? I don't know what she was doing. She cut it off after that. I think I may have needed another salmon for something, but again, don't know what. Don't know what. If you just wait a few more seconds, you'd realize what you're trying to catch. Anyway, rude girl, I ended the night by making more kegs for our shed. But before actually going to sleep, there was another overnight cutscene, and it's like, I got another owl statue. How many owl statues can you get in one playthrough? It's only year 2. On day 28, I went to Shearwater Bridge to do a little bit more fishing as per usual, where I caught another kitty fish, which is not what I needed, but okay. And then I caught another one. It's like, girl, that's not what I needed. So I gave up on that and then went over to Clint so he can open some mystery boxes for me. And I got this cool mystery hat that again, I cannot put on because this hair bone is just a little too cool. I was running around town giving everyone gifts as per usual because we need to make friends. And as I went into George's house, I got a cutscene with him and he's saying, I don't know, gave up on that and then went back over to Shearwater Bridge because I really needed this fish. Was it the puppy fish that I needed? I thought I'd been caught that. I don't know. I guess I needed the puppy fish. And then continued my fishing journey by going over to the ocean to catch an eel. Back on my farm, I collected my starfruit wine and then put the kegs that they were in into my shed instead. And look at this, we're making headway. It's looking like a real production line. And this ended day 28 of fall, leading us into winter time. Oh my gosh, y'all, Zoe is very much sick doing these narrations, but you know what? I'm trying to get this video out as quickly as possible because you know why? 1, I want it over with, but 2, I'm trying to play my next 100 days. It's been like, what, 8 months since my last 100 days that I finished? Anyway, Zoe woke up today, she read the mail and it was something in the mail, I can't remember, but we'll figure it out. Editing, Zoe, just fix the narration, please. Anyway, I went over to the beach because I needed something. These are very professional, aren't they? But as I was on the beach, I did a little bit of foraging. And then right after, I went over to the Wizard's Tower and I got a cutscene with him. Basically, he's sensing that I was gonna arrive today, which is like stalker much. Anyway, he's talking about the little Spirit Grove spring thing that's like in the Junimo Woods or something. I don't know. It's that big pool of water that heals you and it had that cave behind it. You know. Anyway, I don't even know what the point of that conversation was. It just went by so fast. But as I actually walked into his house, Camila was there. So I don't know if they're like on a little date, if they're doing work together. But the reason reason why I was at his house was to buy our first obelisk, the earth obelisk. And it took me a while to figure out where I wanted to put it because, eventually we're going to have this farm be aesthetically pleasing. We're not going to have dead trees everywhere. We're not going to have grass everywhere. We're going to put paths down at some point, okay? So I need to figure out where I'm going to put these obelisks. And eventually I decided to put them on the very bottom part of this fence area where my fish pond is at. I think it's going to be good for now. Maybe in the future we can move it around. I don't know. Anyway, after that, I went over to Calico Desert and gave Sandy a rabbit's foot for some reason. I guess she likes them, but I'm trying to be friends with her. I need to be friends with everybody. Same old. And then while I was there, I bought more starfruit seeds. And then as per usual, I went over to Skull Caverns to again work on getting some geodes, which I then traded with the desert trader for ancient troves. The next morning, Susan sent me a letter about a new recipe for a gingerbread man. How cute. Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to make that at some point. And then after reading that, I went over to my greenhouse and planted the starfruit seeds that I had. Once those were planted, I went over to Clint so he can actually open the troves that I gotten. I only had 5 for today, which I actually did end up getting an item that I needed to donate. At this point, I'm only missing a few more items. Then over by the ocean, I was fishing and I was specifically looking for, I don't know, maybe she was making money. Zoe, what are you doing? What are you looking for? What fish are you trying to catch? I don't know, but the fish I kept catching, I ended up selling so I could get some more bait, some more tappers. I just spent the entire day fishing. Maybe I was just trying to get money because I spent the whole day fishing, it looks like. Back on my farm, I went over to my fish pond and there was 5 sturgeon and I needed to get rid of it. Oh, I needed a squid. Okay, I needed a squid. Anyway, the fish were like bouncing around my land. It was kind of weird, but I put the squid up in there because I believe we needed squid ink. We needed squid ink at some point, probably just to sell. The next morning, I went over to my greenhouse to collect all of the ancient fruit that have grown. Look at this production line. We're so professional. Beautiful. Look at all these juicy fruit. Now, my goal for wintertime is to turn all these fruit into seeds so we can start over with our ancient fruit farm because as you remember, I planted a bunch of ancient fruit seeds back in fall prematurely, which ended up not even growing because I didn't time it right. But best you believe, we're gonna get all of these seeds ready for the 1st of spring, year 3, so then we can have this farm underway. After that, I collected a bunch of oak resin so I can make some more kegs, which I then put in my shed. And then Zoe's over here complaining about the crafting recipe for it because she thought it was 20 pieces of wood to make the keg. Nope, apparently it's 30. So do math correctly, please, Zoe. Get it together. I don't think I really talked about these trinkets, but I have this parrot bird following me, and whenever I kill a mob, there's a small chance that he gives me money. There's also a frog one that I use periodically that will eat the mob, and then I think there's like a fairy, and there's a few, but I like to fluctuate between the parrot and the frog. After doing some stuff on my farm, I went over to Linus to give him a birthday gift, and then I ended the night by fishing, specifically looking for another midnight carp because I needed it for something that I can't remember at this moment because Zoe doesn't take notes. The next day, I went over to Ginger Island and I brought my treasure troves with me. Treasure trove, treasure totem. Yeah. Anyways, I took my treasure totems with me so I could get more geodes, more treasures, some golden coconuts, some troves, yada. Mystery boxes as well. Can't forget the mystery boxes. Anyway, we got a good lineup of items from it, which we will indeed use. In total, we got 31 Omni Geodes. That's crazy. Anyways, I saw that Lance was on the island and I decided to give him this shard and apparently he hates it. It's like, what the heck? You're not messing with these shards?
You not feeling her?
Whatever, Lance. We're gonna get you eventually. But at the top of the volcano, I decided to mess with the forge a little bit. I had done some research on it, so I was trying to figure out what was the best combination of the rings that I had because I'm getting tired of changing between my rings so often whenever I go in the mines, but eventually came up with a combination that worked best for me. I definitely wanted some light, I definitely wanted a magnet, and I definitely wanted the slime ring where you don't get hurt by slime. But the ring I ended up creating prevented damage from slimes and also exploded enemies when killed. Then the next thing I wanted to forge together was my sword. I wanted a more powerful sword because as you recall in the Badlands, Zoe is getting beat up. Zoe is getting beat up left and right and she keeps dying. So we needed to make sure that my sword was on point. Then over on the Ginger Island farm, I went back to the frog dude to show him the wheat that had grown, which again, it's like, why do you care? Why aren't you eating it? He just literally wants to see it grow, which I mean, I guess yes, there is beauty in that. You know, I'm not gonna lie. So we did get the 5 golden walnuts. Thank you, sir, ma'am. I'm not sure what gender they are.
Gender appropriations and the pronouns.
But, you know, we'll keep it respectful around here. Anyways, the next morning I got a letter from Rasmodius and he needs a iridium bar for some reason. I didn't read the letter, okay? Then I went ahead and went fishing because there's still a few fish on Ginger Island that I need to get for, yes, again, the fishing mastery. Some of these fish are really hard to catch, you know? Sometimes I don't want to be bothered. Sometimes, you know, I'm like, F it, let's do this. And I finally got the octopus that I had been waiting for a while. After doing that, I decided to buy the little visitation area on the main part of the island, I guess the entrance, and there's literally nothing for me to do here. I feel like I wasted my walnut, but hey, I guess people can come visit, whatever, it's fine. Anyway, after that, I did a little bit of trading with that blue bird dude, got a cool hat. Then I gave Lance a new gift and he actually liked it this time. You're welcome, Lance. I also gave something to Leo, but you know, I could care less about Leo. Back home, I took the bus over to Calico Desert, and guess who's driving again? Not Pam. Don't get angry. Then when I was at Calico Desert, I realized I forgot my freaking geodes, and that girl just angers me. She just really angers me. She be forgetting stuff. She does everything so unprofessionally. Back on we're at Calico Desert. Back at Calico Desert, I actually was able to trade for the trove. Then I took said troves over to Clint so he could break them, along with my golden coconuts and my mystery boxes, where I did get a few cool items like a banana tree and a mango tree, which I do think I needed still. However, I don't believe I got any items I needed for the museum. I also got a book of stars, not really sure what that is, but hey, let's get some experience. The remainder of day 6 was pretty random. I gave my squids a golden animal cracker, and then I moved to this bear statue that I had in front of my shipping bin, and then I went over to Rasmodius to give him the iridium bar that he needed, which gave me 5,000 gold. Thank you, sir. And then I went over to the Forbidden Maze because I still needed to collect a bunch of mushrooms for, I think, the henchman. The henchman wanted the mushrooms, I'm pretty sure. The next morning, Mayor Lewis came over to my farm to tell me about an expansion I can do to it, which I really didn't know was an option. But the mod is called Stardew Valley Expanded, so I really should have known. But anyways, on the other side of this fence, I could literally have more farmland, which is amazing because then we can have more ancient fruits growing. Great idea, Mayor Lewis. It's gonna cost me 250,000 gold, which I do not have at the moment. So we need to get our money up. I lied, I do have the money, but am I gonna spend it right now? We'll see. Anyways, went over to my shed and production is underway. Look at all this wine we have going and we're not even all the way filled up yet. It's so beautiful. Nobody tell Pam that I'm making wine. I don't need her on my island. Oh my gosh, this is not Animal Crossing. I don't need her on my farm stealing my wine. Anyway, back over in the Forbidden Maze, I continued my search for all these mushrooms and swamp flowers and other weird flora that this henchman wanted. I was trying to get back to his house and it took me a hot minute because like it's a maze, I'm lost, but I did finally complete it. Back in Pelican Town, I went over to Mayor Lewis's house so I could buy this expansion and he's giving me another cutscene. My bird is all up in the way, but whatever. Anyways, he's telling me if I want to expand to use the red ledger book, the sign for it, but I actually came over here to give him a gift because I'm trying to give everyone gifts, and apparently Zoe didn't know what red ledger book he was talking about, so she did not buy the expansion that evening, but she did finish her night by making more ancient fruit seeds. The next morning, the henchman was on my farm talking about thanks for helping him with his little mushroom thing, whatever, but he didn't get his job back, which is unfortunate, but you know what? That's not my problem. You shouldn't have let me into that woman's house. This is on you. Anyway, I went over to the Adventurers Guild, not inside, but I went over to get on the boat so I could go to the Highlands again. And I'm getting faced with these wilderness monsters, and unfortunately I die because they're just too strong. Like, what do I need to do? So me being petty, I indeed started the day over. Today was technically the Festival of Ice, but we're gonna skip it because we don't need it. I go back to the Highlands cave and do some more mining and just some general exploration because I don't know what this cave is about. We're discovering, we're exploring, we're learning. But all the way in the top right, there was this other section that was housing a jailed dwarf. Oh my goodness, who put you in here? There's no other people, I don't think. Anyway, we're gonna help this man out, but we need a key. He's telling me there's a terrible monster on the mountaintop of this cave. cave, so we're gonna investigate. We're gonna investigate. Don't you worry, dwarf. But while I was here, I needed to do some fishing because, you know, there's always a fish we need to freaking catch. And this freaking fish was hard. It was jumping everywhere. It's like, oh my goodness, can I get a break? But I think I'm overreacting because it did calm down a bit and I eventually caught it, and it was the gemfish. After my time in the cave, I decided to venture up the mountain to see what this dwarf was talking about, and I found another cave, but this one was full of diamonds. Oh my goodness. It even had diamond flowers, and when I went fishing, I caught the diamond fish. Venturing even further up the mountain, I finally found what this dwarf was talking about. There's another dinosaur, but this one's a different color. But before I could face him, I had to get these wilderness thingies out of the way, plus these little slimes. It's like, I can only fight one thing at a time, please. Where's my frog dude? Did I take him off? I fought this thing without my frog. Anyway, I was getting a little worried because it became midnight and I needed to kill this thing, and I wasn't quite sure how much health it had, so I very much was probably going to faint here after killing it. That is, if I kill it, because these monsters keep coming up on me. But honestly, fighting it really isn't that hard. It has the same mechanics as a regular dinosaur. I think they're called pepper rexes, so it was quite easy to dodge the flames. But at approximately 150, I literally defeated him and got so many different things. I got a huge treasure chest, a golden key, some bones, a dinosaur egg, yada yada yada, a bunch of stuff. Now the question is, can I make this clutch to get out of here? I made it to my farm and I barely made it to my front door, but hey, at least we made it home. The next morning, I'm tweaking out about something that I don't know what. She's tweaking out. What is she mad about? I don't know. Anyways, I had to pay some money because someone had to pick me up, and then while I was at Pelican Town, I went over to the cave and Lance was there, so I gave him a gift. Then I went back to the highlands to do a bit more mining in the cave, as well as some discovery, some killing. And then while I was there, I decided to visit our dwarf friend to free him. You're free, sir. Welcome back to reality. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes something. I forget the lyrics. I be listening to Stan. I be listening to When I'm Gone. Like, okay, right. The next day, back in Pelican Town, I saw that the raccoon had a wife now. Oh my goodness, congratulations. Congratulations. He's hungry and needs food, so I gave him exactly what he wanted. And then I got a message saying that the raccoon expanded his shop. And then I also got a book. I forgot what the book was, but I got a book. Anyway, moving on. I spent some time chopping down trees because I was running out of wood, and then back on my farm in my wine shed, I added some more kegs. Then after that, I visited the cave so I can work on some more monster eradication goals, which I got one for the little coal dude, the dust sprites, yeah. The next morning, I went over to Mayor Lewis's house so I could actually expand my farm. I bought the property deed. I had so much money at this point, it's like, it's not even a thing to do a little bit of shopping, you know? And then while I was there, I gave him a gift because, you know, need to make friends at some point. Yes. After that, I went over to the highlands and got greeted with a cutscene, and it was for the dwarf that we freed. He has his own little shop in this little cave over here, and he actually has some pretty interesting items to buy. Some dwarven items, as well as some decorative nodes that you can buy as if we were like in the caves, which I'm not really sure why I would want these, but hey, maybe in the future we might do some decorating. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. And since I was in the highlands, I decided might as well go mining again because we could always use the resources. And while I was there, I did in fact die. I did. She fell to her knees. I figure the highlands cave is one of the easier places I can work on the, what are these called? Spirits? I don't know. The dark dudes. The dark shadowy dudes. I can work on those monster eradication goals as well as the pepper rexes. Anyway, the next morning, Mayor Lewis was on my farm and I got another cutscene where he's telling me that my farm expansion had been approved. Oh my goodness, so exciting. Then I checked my mail and I got a letter from Willie where he wants a lingcod. Okay, Willie, I'm not sure why you're asking me to catch you a fish, but fine. Then back over in the Highlands Cave, I actually got the monster eradication goal for those shadowy figures. The void spirits, they're called void spirits. Okay. And then I went over to Gus to actually get my prize. On day 14, I got a letter in the mail from Mayor Lewis telling me about the winter night market, which we will in fact be attending. And after reading that, I was able to see the expansion on my farm. After looking around, I decided to buy some animals from Marnie and saw that a camel was up for purchase, which, Chloe, did you buy it yet or not? Okay, she did buy it. She did buy the camel. We're gonna need it eventually, so yeah, great. Great purchase, Zoe, great purchase. And while I was walking around, I bought some stuff from the traveling merchant, and she was selling a hazelnut, which I really needed because hazelnuts are only available during the fall, and I didn't collect enough for my food recipes, so I was grateful that she was selling one, although we still don't have enough to complete all the fall recipes by the end of this season, so yeah, that's unfortunate. Then during the night, I got another cutscene, but this one was not the owl cutscene. Is it what I think it was? Oh my goodness, strange capsule alert. But while I was running around, I found that strange capsule that I mentioned. This is the first time I've ever gotten the strange capsule. I know there's a way, like if you leave it outside for a little bit, something will escape, and then there's like Easter eggs after that. But I'm just gonna hold on to it for a little bit because I feel like, I don't know, I just don't want to use it just yet. Like, what am I to do with it? After being in awe over the strange capsule, I went over back to the extended part of my farm so I could move my lightning rods around. We're gonna have it in a more organized fashion in a more confined space. And then after that, I put down some of the sprinklers that I had for the extended part of my farm. Once I was done with that, I went back over to the Badlands because I needed to redeem myself. I'm dying like every time I come here, and I need to win. I need to prosper. I'm also trying to find these like slime eggs because they sell for like 1,000 gold each, but they're more so on the bottom right side of the map, and I'm trying to go all the way left because I believe there are some caves over here. But I'm trying to play strategically this time, but I died. You see how many mobs are on the map? Like, it's so hard not to die here. Why can't we get armor in Stardew Valley? Give me some armor. Anyways, after that, I gave up and went over to the winter festival to buy some new things. I bought a cloud painting. It looked cute. I like it, okay? Bought some garlic seeds because we need it for the frog dude on Cinder. Nope. That's called Ginger Island. On Ginger Island. And you know what? I went ahead and bought a piano because I like music. I like to play. And I immediately put it down in my house once I got home. Same with the cloud painting. The next morning, I collected a bunch of starfruit seeds. Then I actually put down a bunch of casks that I made, which, like with my shed, I intend to have the same number of casks so we can immediately transfer whatever wine is brewed over to the cask once we're ready for that. We're not there yet. After that, I went over to Clint and collected my gold watering can and then opened a bunch of mystery boxes. Decided to throw some of it away because I already had like the mystery wallpaper and the mystery hat. We don't need duplicates, so trash. Then immediately after, I went over to Ginger Island to plant said garlic that we had just bought the night before and to use some of our treasure totem. I went to the top of the volcano to add more to my sword. I don't think I actually did anything last time. I think I just mixed my rings together, but we needed more damage on my sword because again, the Badlands are eating us up. We need to deal more damage. We need to kill these things before they kill me. Then either later that day or the next day, I went over to Calico Desert so I could trade with the desert trader. And guess who wasn't there? Guess who wasn't freaking there? People are never there when I need them to be there. Anyways, later that day, I went back to the Badlands because again, we have to redeem myself. And this time I made it over all the way left to the Iridium Quarry, I think is what it's called. Look at all of this iridium that's around here. But there's also a lot of bad guys. I can't handle all this. I need to think, I need to recoup, and then I'll enter once I'm ready. And actually, the Iridium Quarry was not what I was after. I'm after this like cave that I don't know where it's at. I venture further down, and all of a sudden, this thing came after me. This thing. And I died after 2 freaking hits. What the heck? What am I supposed to do here? My sword's already leveled up. I think I have good shoes. I got rings on. Camila, what am I supposed to do? Give me some magic. After recovering a bit, I went back down to that thing and he got me again. Zoe, we need to come up with a strategy because we're not doing good here. After all those deaths, I started to become frustrated with my progress because we're not making any. So I went over to the Adventurers Guild to see if there's anything I could buy, but there really wasn't any. But while I was there, our future man's Lance was there, and I had happened to have a prismatic shard on me. Wait, what is this called? A prismatic gem shard? That's not what it's called. What's the rainbow gem called? Anyway, I gave it to him. He liked it, so I went to see what our progress was, and I don't even think we had 1 star. Maybe we did. I don't know, but we're not where we need to be. Back home, I collected a bunch of wine, and then I collected the remainder of the oak resin that we needed and cut down all of the oak trees because we were officially done with them. Made some more kegs and added them to the shed. I still needed a bit more wood before I could make the rest, but hey, we're gonna get it done. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Why are you guys always worried about me? Anyway, the next morning, Mayor Lewis told me about Feast of the Winter Star that's coming up next week, or I don't know, later. I don't know what it is. But after that, I went over to Calico Desert to actually trade with the desert trader because the winter festival or trading show, whatever, that was over. So yeah, got my treasure trove, and then I immediately went over to Clint, got my trash can. I've been asking for upgrades here and there, haven't really been documenting it, but hey, got my trash can. It's gold. Then while I was there, of course, opened more mystery boxes and the treasure trove. At this point with the ancient troves, I'm getting a little frustrated because we are not getting what we need, except although we got one thing, but it shouldn't be this difficult to get all these artifacts. I should not be going into year 2 struggling with finishing the museum. At this point, we literally just need 3 more things. But hey, I did get a new reward, which is something I didn't really care about. It's just fossils. I collect fossils in Animal Crossing. I don't want them here, whatever your name is. Back at home, I made a bunch more casks so we can put it into our shed, the big shed with the greenhouse. Duh, you know what I'm talking about. And then the next morning, Gus is asking me for a coconut, and it's like, Gus, if you don't go to the grocery store and get one yourself, or take a trip to Calico Desert for 500 gold, like, why am I going to Calico Desert for you? Why am I spending 500 gold? Anyway, later that morning, I went back to the Badlands and tried to finesse this freaking dragon snake thing. I don't know, but I'm getting upset. You see all the buffs that I have on me right now? I'm not playing. So I came up with a strategy where I will quickly go into my inventory, lay some bombs, then go back into my inventory, hit the enemies with my sword, then go back into my inventory and eat my food. It was becoming a lot, but she died. But you know what? I put my boots back on, I took a healing elixir, and I did it again because I think this will work. And you know what? It didn't. It sure didn't. She died again. But you know what? I refuse to be stopped by defeat. I will continue to persevere and to continue my journey, failure or not. And you know what I did this time? I actually did it. I made it into the cave. It took some time. It took a lot of pauses, but she made it. The strategy does work, everybody. Just, you need to time it right. You need to time it correctly. Let's go. And inside the cave was a bunch of treasure, quite literally treasure. And in the chest was a new slingshot, which I don't really use in the first place. So not exactly happy with it, but not disappointed. Maybe we'll use it in the future. Now, the hard part was going to be getting out of the cave because I still wanted to go to the iridium quarry and collect, a bunch of iridium. But luckily I did manage to make it out and managed to get a bunch of iridium while I was there. Where in fact I did die once more. I did. But the next morning I got a visit from Mr. Key. He added a new soundtrack to my jukebox and something about breaking the fourth wall. I don't know. He's a weird guy. Anyways, went back over to Clint to collect my iridium hoe. Again, I'm making all these upgrades. Now we have full iridium. Well, that's a lie. You don't have an iridium watering can, but I'm buying that now. I'm buying it now. Anyway, after that, I wanted to go behind Mayor Lewis's house because with the secret notes, he has that like golden statue, but the SVE mod pack kind of messes it up. So what I read on Reddit was just to hit around the backyard until you get it, which was not working at first, but luckily I was able to get it. On day 21, I went over to the raccoon family and gave them the stuff that they wanted, and they talked about expanding. When did they get a baby? I think they're gonna have another baby though, but their shop has expanded. Anyway, back on my farm, I added more kegs, and I realized that I messed up the placement of them, so that's gonna be annoying because I had just put fruit in them, so we're gonna have to wait until that's done. And then I also made a bunch of casks and put them in the new shed/greenhouse. After that, went back to Skull Caverns to collect more geodes and then traded them with the desert trader. Then after that, went around town giving everyone diamonds because it's the holiday season. The next morning, I went over to Clint to collect my iridium watering can and then to open more troves, and then finally updated my trash can to iridium. Back on my farm, I spent the rest of the day making ancient fruit seeds because again, we're gonna start our ancient fruit farm for really once it turns spring so we can actually plant them. And then I made the remainder amount of kegs I needed for my shed. Again, they're a little off placement because Zoe doesn't know how to place things down correctly. The next morning, I was trying to see what was up with these artifacts because what do you mean I still need 2 and I can't find them? It's almost the end of year 2 and I can't find these freaking artifacts. I'm getting frustrated. So I decided to appease my frustration by going to the cave in the highlands and killing some pepper rexes so I can work on those eradication goals. And while I was doing it, I freaking died. It's like, how many times am I gonna die in one episode? A lot, apparently. But I went back and I was able to actually complete the monster eradication goal. The next morning, I got a letter reminding me about the Feast of the Winter Star happening the next day. But while I was on my farm, I added a bunch more sprinklers to our expanded area again for this ancient fruit farm I plan to do, collected my mystic syrups for my trees, and then entered my shed and had a bunch of wine waiting for me. This is the start, guys. This is what this is going to be looking like. We're going to make so much money. After that, I went over to Ginger Island, and apparently I'm not the only one visiting, but I went to go talk to the frog dude again because my garlic has grown, and like he always does, he just wants to see the plant. He doesn't want to eat it. He doesn't want to take it for himself. He just wants to see the plant in the ground. He gave me my 5 golden walnuts. Thank you, sir. I don't think we need to talk anymore because who wants to talk to a 500-pound frog? Anyway, used my treasure totems again to collect the freaking troves and geodes for these freaking artifacts that we can't freaking find anywhere, and decided to spend the night in my tent and not my bed, apparently. I don't know why. But I saw Lance was on the island and I gave him a golden coconut because I thought he liked it, but apparently he hated it and he got mad at me. I threw a strange doll into the top of the volcano and got this like dragon snake thing cutscene. Very odd, but he gave me a gem in return. Back in Pelican Town, I went to Feast of the Winter Star because it's Christmas time. It's Christmas. We must celebrate, and I brought a diamond, even though, you know, it doesn't take me much to get a diamond. So I forget who my person was. Oh, it's Sam. My person's Sam. Anyway, I gave him a secret gift, and then immediately after, I got my secret gift from Robin. Hey girl, you should give me something good because I give you a lot of business. And you know what she gave me? She gave me wood. Robin, I literally give you wood to build me stuff. So you really just got me something for yourself. Like, how selfish. How selfish, Robin. And then I wanted to see the wizard because I think I was gonna buy the next obelisk, but he wasn't freaking home. What the heck? I'm getting frustrated with everybody. The next morning, I collected more wine. I'm not adding any more to the kegs at the moment because once year 3 happens, I want to time all of my wine at the same time, so then we can immediately transfer them all to my casks once they're ready. But after that, I went over to the wizard to buy this next obelisk, and I forgot stuff that I needed to buy with it. So I had to run all the way back to my farm and then run all the way back so I could build the beach obelisk, and we're just gonna put it right next to the one that we already have. Then I visited Gus to give him whatever the heck he asked me for, and then immediately after that, I went up to Clint so he can break the 22 troves, all the coconuts I had. And guess who wasn't freaking home? Clint. It's 2 more days until the end of the freaking season. Be home so I can get these artifacts. Gee. The next morning, I collected some wine that had aged all the way to purple. Yay. Anyway, sold that for like 44,000. After that, I went back to freaking Clint to collect my iridium trash can and to open all these troves, in which we got only one of the 2 artifacts that I was missing. At this point, I was very frustrated because it is day 27. We only have 1 more day to find this artifact, and I was not having it. So I took a pause, did a little bit of research, and apparently I should have seen this further, but SVE adds the Junimo Forest. The Junimos are all traders in the forest, and one of these Junimos is literally selling all of the artifacts. So I could have gotten the artifacts sooner, which meant I could have gotten the museum done sooner if I had just read the wiki. Zoe, sometimes you really frustrate me. You really do. Anyways, after buying the final artifact, I officially completed the museum. Finally, give me my reward, which is a star drop. We can check that off our list. How many more do we need? Like 3? 2? Who knows? We for sure need 1 through marriage, which we're gonna get through Lance. Year 3. That's a year 3 goal. Back on my farm, I added the remaining sprinklers that we needed for my extended area, and then spent the rest of the day giving out gifts to people, in which I got a cutscene with Sam, and he's over here playing his guitar. I dabble in guitar myself, Sam. I can play Wildflower by Billie Eilish on there greatly. So yeah, come for me. And you know what? I can play Jolene by, what's her name? Dolly, by Dolly Parton. That's a hard song to play. Can I play it up to speed? No, but I can play it. And then after that, I was bored. So I went over to Gus's Tavern, whatever it's called, and played some of the games. And I didn't realize that Junimo Kart got so many updates to it. Since when is there all these obstacles? Since when are there coins? Since when are there levels to this? And it was harder than I remembered. Eventually, we need to get back into Journey of the Prairie King, but that'll be for a different day. That'll be when we're closer to perfection. The next morning, I collected the remainder of my wine and fixed the kegs that were out of place. And since all of the kegs were finished, I then added a bunch of starfruit to all the kegs and even put one on the outside of the door so I know when all of them would be done, so we can officially start our wine business. We're moving up in the world, guys. We're making so much money. Yes, yes, yes. After tending to my kegs, I collected my fur syrup, my fur wax, whatever it's called, and then headed up to Robin's to finally build the premium coop. Like I said, we're moving up in the world. We're making advancements. My farm has come such a long way, guys. It's crazy. Anyway, I didn't really know know where to put it, so I just put it immediately next to the barn, which I feel like is going to be a little cramped, but it might end up looking good. I don't know. We'll see. We might have to move it around. And then while I was at Robin's, I bought all of the recipes that she had because I don't know how the recipe achievement works where you have to make every single item, so I just bought it anyways. I don't know. And then I went down to the beach and had a cutscene with Willie, and he is showing me something. He's showing me the crab infestation that has occurred inside of his shack. How does this happen to a person, Willie? But you know what? Crab oil. And guess who showed up? Gus. That's exactly what I was thinking. We're eating seafood tonight. But I remembered I got this gem from the volcano, so I did some research and I went to Willie's basement to try to do something with it, and they said to go into his secret basement, and like I'm trying. I thought I have to teleport there, but no, it's like literally a latch that I have to go into. And I put the gem on the little grass pedestal thing and got a cutscene, and a portal opened and a Terraria cat came out. Oh my gosh, I love Terraria. He gave me a sword. Unfortunately, the sword is not as good as my galaxy sword, but the wizard caught me and he got mad. He said, "Don't touch that." Sir, I'll do what I want, please. Thank you. And as I went to bed for the night, I got my final cutscene of the year with Grandpa as he told me that his body or his soul has departed. I don't know. Anyway, he's proud of me. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you. And he's basically saying that the future of Snorlax Farm is officially in my hands, thus ending winter of year 2. And oh my goodness, guys, that is my 200 days in Stardew Valley Expanded. That was a lot, and I still have a lot more to do. Isn't that crazy? There's someone mowing outside of my window. Like, geez, I'm trying to record. In all seriousness, guys, I do appreciate you all for watching this video. If you've enjoyed, please consider subscribing, leaving a like down below. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, these 100 days videos take a long time to record, edit, and throw together. So go ahead and anticipate that the next one will take just as long. But in the meantime, you can go over to my channel and appreciate some other videos. I pretty much play whatever I want and upload it, but if you guys have any recommendations of stuff you want to see, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will definitely look into what you guys suggest. Yeah, and with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Right hand. Jump. Jump. Right hand again. Oh, Lord. Okay, so why would we open it to where he's at? Let's go. Let's run. Oh my gosh. She clutched it. Don't yell at me, crybaby.
That was tea, Zoe. That was really good. I'm proud of you. You're speaking up. You're being clear. Right. We're getting stuff done. We're getting stuff done for the viewers. Did I make a bloopers reel?